National Assembly Bills number 35 for 2019. The Speaker of the Senate is already in the House, Honorable Ken Lusaka. This broadcast is brought to you by the Parliamentary Broadcasting Unit and KBC. We wish you a pleasant viewing.
Let us pray. Almighty God, we beseech you to behold with your abundant favor and blessings as your servants, whom you have been pleased to call to leadership positions in this republic. We seek guidance to treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those whose interests you have committed to our charge. Amen.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair. Order number 3, messages.
Honorable Senators, I wish to report to the Senate that pursuant to Standing Order 41.3 and 4, I have received the following message from the Speaker of the National Assembly regarding the passage of the Livestock and Products Marketing Board Bill, National Assembly Bill number 2 of 2019. Pursuant to the said standing order, I now report the message. Pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 41.1 and 142 of the National Assembly Standing Orders, I hereby convey the following message from the National Assembly. Whereas the Livestock and Livestock Products Marketing Board Bill, National Assembly Bill number 2 of 2019, was published via Kenya Gazette, Supplement number 6 of 7th February 2019, as a bill concerning county governments to establish the Livestock and Livestock Products Marketing Board, and whereas the National Assembly considered and passed the said bill on Wednesday, March 12, 2020, with amendments in the form attached hereto, now therefore in accordance with the provisions of Article 110.4 of the Constitution and Standing Order 142 of the National Assembly Standing Orders, I hereby refer the said bill to the Senate for consideration. Honorable Senators, pursuant to Standing Order 157, which requires that a bill originating in the National Assembly be provided with by the Senate in the same manner, be proceeded with by the Senate in the same manner as a bill introduced in the Senate by way of first reading in accordance with Standing Order 139, I direct that the bill be listed for first reading on Tuesday, 12th May 2020. I thank you. Next order.
Order number 4, petitions.
Honorable Senators, pursuant to Standing Order 226, I hereby 226 1A and 232B, I hereby report to the Senate that a petition has been submitted through the clerk by Mr. Simon L. Kilonga and Olanan D. Ole Tulet, residents of Narok County. As you are aware, that under Article 119.1 of the Constitution, and I quote, every person has a right to petition Parliament to consider any matter within its authority, including enacting amendment or repealing any legislation. The salient issues raised, the said petition are as follows. A, that is alleged misappropriation of the county revenue, particularly of the years 2014-15 to 2018-19, in which millions of shillings were allocated to projects that were never undertaken as listed below. Flywheel Engineering and Construction Limited was awarded a tender with a a constant sum of Kenya shillings 19,924,000 for the improvement and graveling of Paka Nyeusi Mashangwa Road section. The project was to commence on 23rd March 2015 and be completed on 23rd July 2015, but to date no work has been done. Agus Investment Limited was awarded another tender worth 18,980,000 for improvement and graveling of the same road, Paka Nyeusi Mashangwa Road section. The project was also to commence on 23rd March 2015 and to be completed on 23rd July 2015. However, this was not fulfilled. This means that the Paka Nyeusi Mashangwa Road project had no tenders awarded in the same year, but no work has been done on the road. The county government of Narok awarded a tender worth 2,693,520 to Flywheel Engineering and Construction Limited for proposed construction of water pans. The project was never carried out and yet payment was made. The county government of Narok awarded another tender worth 3,491,994 to Flywheel Engineering and Construction Limited for renovation and partitioning of a boardroom. The project was never carried out yet payment was made. Another tender worth 2.6 was awarded to Flywheel Engineering Construction for proposed construction of water pans. The project was never carried out yet payment was made. The county government of Narok awarded a tender worth 19,925,000 to Gorgeous Construction Limited for improvement and graveling of Sankale Topot Road. The contract was never fulfilled, yet payment was made. That the matter was reported to the Director of Criminal Investigations in August 2019. An action has been taken since. Consequently, the petitioners pray that the Senate investigate the issue raised to establish the circumstances under which the irregular tenders were awarded, directs the Auditor General to conduct a special audit exercise in view of the foregoing issues, and makes appropriate recommendations on those found culpable, especially in the fraudulent payment for work not done. So, Honorable Senators, pursuant to Standing Order 231, I shall now allow comments, observations, or clarifications in relation to the petition for not more than, I can see I've written 30 minutes, but if you can keep it brief, shorter than this, it will be better for us to transact other business, because we have a lot of business to transact. With the masks, I'm not very sure. Certainly, Turi. What's your mic?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and allow me thank the petitioner for bringing this petition to this House, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, time has come that I think we must appreciate what the public is doing. The public is keen. In whatever we are doing, they are watching. And these are some of the aspirations that the public is trying to express through this House for failure to have an Auditor General in this country for a very long time, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the petition falls directly in my view, and the Committee on Public Accounts, the County Public Accounts, which we had an opportunity to have elections yesterday, and elected Chairman Olekina. Unfortunately, this is also a complaint from his own county. I'm sure there won't be any kind of conflict, but I want to say, Mr. Speaker, if we are not careful as a House, money will be stolen during this time. Money will be used in the wrong way, and the reason why this House must rise up to the occasion and deal with the issues as they come, despite the difficult circumstances that we found this country in the recent COVID-19 pandemic. So, Mr. Speaker, let me say thank you to this good Kenyan citizen who has decided to raise this matter.
Senator Ndwiga.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, indeed, the petitioner is to be congratulated. As a House, because our mandate is to oversight counties, yet most of the times we are not on the ground. We need to encourage citizens, Kenyan citizens, who are out there and who most of the times are the ones who observe misappropriation of funds by the counties, to use the avenue of petitions to this House. Mr. Speaker, I would like to ask, whichever the committee that which I believe will be the CPAC, or whichever committee that you put this petition before, I do hope that they will deal with it diligently, so diligently so that Kenyans may find that this is a path through which they can reach Senate, and through which also will assist us as a Senate to perform our duties of oversight. Mr. Speaker, there are so many of these cases in all the counties where monies are allocated to mysterious contractors and work is never done. In fact, I have occasions where people have talked to me and told me about, not necessarily from my county, and told me about misappropriation of funds in their counties by the county government. Mr. Speaker, we want to encourage citizens of this country to use this avenue of petitions to the Senate. And I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Fatuma Dulo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I wish to congratulate these petitioners from Narok. As my colleagues have said, I think this is a matter that is happening in most of the counties. But unfortunately, even if members of public raise such issues, it doesn't reach anywhere. I don't know. Maybe there is money changing hands within the relevant institution. Somebody needs to explain. I have a very good example, and I have a statement to it. Maybe I don't know whether you will allow me. There's a matter that has hit social media in my county, the ICU thing, where some youths actually have raised misappropriation and the manner in which the ICU equipments were hired. And right now, the county government is using security to intimidate those boys and actually threatening to arrest them, which clearly means members of public have constitutional rights to raise those issues. But I think there is a lot of challenge on the ground, especially from the county government, where they are using money to stop people from doing what they are doing. And members of public, if we are not doing a good job as a Senate, they are going to lose confidence in us. And I hope the committee that is going to look at this will be able to handle the matter properly and make sure that the petitioners have received what prayers they have asked for. I thank you.
Senator Malala, then Senator Zani.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to congratulate the petitioner and just to remind ourselves that the Kenyan Constitution and the County Government Act has provided a platform and a way in which the Senate, together with the respective county assemblies, can perform their oversight roles. Mr. Speaker, I think as senators, we only rely on the Auditor General's report to oversight our counties. We need to have a more meaningful engagement in oversighting our counties in their day-to-day running. As it is right now, Mr. Speaker, it is only the members of the county assembly who can do the day-to-day oversight of the county executive, Mr. Speaker. But we've had county assemblies who have gone to bed with the executive, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it is sad. Recently in my county, I wrote a letter to the Speaker requesting for a meeting with the Public Accounts Committee of the County Assembly so that we can come up with a way in which we can oversight the money set aside for the COVID-19 emergency fund, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the County Assembly Speaker wrote back to me and said that we do not have a law that provides for an engagement.
Should continue to play its role in the development of appropriate policies and standards and guidelines. Counties must retain their implementation roles and functions. Mr. Speaker, the committee further notes with concern an apparent attempt by the MOH to sanitize the special portable clinics under the UHC program. The special portable clinics, which were first implemented under the slum upgrading program in the financial year 2015-2016, have been a subject of investigation by the EACC and audit queries by the Office of the Auditor General. Based on these and other concerns, the Committee on Health has commenced investigations on the proposed UHC upscale and will be tabling a substantive report on this to this House with clear recommendations. Further to this, Mr. Speaker, the committee held a meeting with the Health Committee Council of Governors, Governor Mohamed Kuti, earlier today, on 5th of May, with a view towards addressing some of the committees concerned. Further, the committee is set to meet the Secretary of Health, Honorable Mutai Kagwe, as it seeks clarification on matters that have arisen as a result to the response from the MOH. In addition, the committee has scheduled meetings with KEMSA and NHIF via a Zoom online platform over the next week as it seeks to get to the bottom of the issues raised. Mr. Speaker, sir, further and of particular concern to senators, the committee has written to the MOH seeking, among others, copies of all intergovernmental participation agreements and that have been executed between the national government and the county governments on this matter. Once obtained, copies of the IPAs will be circulated to every senator for their reference and information. Mr. Speaker, as I conclude, allow me to take this opportunity to thank the Senate Minority Whip, Senator Makueni County, Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr., for bringing this very important matter to the attention of the House. I beg to table the response from the Ministry of Health. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Next statement under 51(1)A is Chairperson Standing Committee on Agriculture.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I have two statements, so I don't know which one. Maybe I will start with the one for locusts, then I come to the one on coffee, with your permission.
Proceed.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, sir, as you may recall, at a sitting of the Senate held on the 18th February 2020, Senator Enoch Wambua, MP, made a statement on the locust invasion in parts of the country, pursuant to Standing Order 47-1 of the Senate, Standing Orders, noting that the locust invasion was a matter of national importance, threatening food security in the country. The Honorable Deputy Speaker directed the Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Agriculture, Livestock, Fisheries and Cooperatives be invited to a meeting of the Standing Committee on Agriculture, Livestock, Fisheries, to which all senators were invited. The committee met with the CS on Thursday, 27th February 2020, where he assured the committee that the ministry was up to the task and briefed senators on the government efforts to control and contain the locust threat in the country, including deployment of aircrafts for spraying and surveillance, procuring of 28,000 liters of control pesticides, distribution of control equipment to affected counties, including vehicles and personal protective equipment, deployment of 500 National Youth Servicemen for locust ground control, among other initiatives, with the support and collaboration with development partners, including FAO, 10 aircrafts for spraying and 10 for surveillance, and to acquire and deploy 20 vehicles equipped with suitable sprayers for ground control of mainly the hatching hoppers. Mr. Speaker, to establish the extent of damage caused by the locust invasion and to establish the measures taken to mitigate the effects of the invasion, the committee undertook a county visit to Embu, Tharaka Nithi, and Samburu counties on Friday, 28 February 2020, the findings of which I reported to this House. At its 74th sitting held on 22nd April 2020, the committee deliberated on the imminent second generation locust invasion, projected to be 20 times worse than the January 2020 invasion. Noting the serious threat to food security in the country, more so in light of the COVID-19 situation, the committee resolved to invite the CS, Ministry of Agriculture, Livestock, Fisheries, and Cooperatives to appear before it to address, among others, the preparedness measures in place to control the second generation locust invasion. The committee met with the Cabinet Secretary on Monday, 4th April 2020, on the Zoom online meeting platform, where he believes senators on the government's preparedness for the continued invasion as follows. That the ministry has set up 6 operational bases at Turkana, Marsabit, Wajir, Masinga, Garissa, and Isiolo. That the ministry has trained 30 master trainers, 502 National Youth Servicemen, 240 extension staff, and 300 community scouts for surveillance and ground spraying. That the ministry has 6 aircrafts for spraying and 3 for surveillance. That the ministry has deployed 16 vehicles mounted with sprayers for ground control. Plans are there to purchase 24 more vehicles. That the ministry has deployed a digital application, that e-locust 3M application for reporting on desert locust. That the ministry has set up a multi-institutional technical team drawn from Division of Plant Protection Services, Kenya Agricultural Research Organization, Kenya Plant Health Inspectorate Service, Pest Control Products Board, Desert Locust Control Organization for Eastern Africa, Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, University of Nairobi, International Center for Insects, Physiology and Ecology, Center for Agricultural and Bioscience International. That the ministry has stockpiled 100,000 liters of assorted pesticides. That the ministry has mobilized further support from the development partners, such as FAO, World Bank, and the African Development Bank. That FAO, being the knowledge leader in this field, is about to commission an impact assessment survey to enable the ministry and other partners design recovery and livelihood restoration packages. The Cabinet Secretary projected that by the end of June 2020, the locust invasion shall be adequately contained internally, noting that the ministry had no control over the threat of external swarms from neighboring countries. In addition, following deliberations, the Cabinet Secretary committed to provide a report on funds spent so far in the control of the locust invasion and to provide the committee with a status update on a monthly basis until the threat is finally contained. Honorable Speaker, sir, the committee is taking this matter seriously and shall report to the House periodically, and I thank you.
Thank you. Since that's work in progress, we will encourage you to continue updating the House. Next, Stephen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Standing Order number 51 provides that a committee chairperson may make a statement relating to a matter for which the committee is responsible. In fulfillment of this provision, I wish to make a statement in regard to the criteria for allocation of World Bank funds for the improved production of coffee in the country. Mr. Speaker, sir, at a sitting of the Senate held on Tuesday, 21st April 2020, Senator Moses Wetangula, EGH MP, made a statement on the criteria for allocation of World Bank funds for the improved production of coffee in the country, pursuant to Standing Order 47-1 of the Senate Standing Orders. At the sitting of the Senate held on Tuesday, 28 April 2020, Senator Moses Wetangula rose on a point of order and raised concern on the possible disbursement of the funds to certain counties to the exclusion of other coffee-growing counties prior to the scheduled meeting of the Standing Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries on Monday, 4th May 2020. The Honorable Deputy Speaker directed that any precipitate action or action of any kind regarding the disbursement of the funds be withheld until the matter had been considered by the committee and the Senate. The committee met with the Cabinet Secretary on Monday, 4th May 2020 on the Zoom online meeting platform, where Senator Moses Wetangula was in attendance. The Cabinet Secretary briefed senators as follows. A, that following His Excellency the President's direction that the recommendations of the National Coffee Task Force be implemented, the World Bank made a commitment to support the implementation of the coffee reforms. That this was followed by the launch of a pilot project involving 8 counties, i.e. Kiambu, Murang'a, Nyeri, Kirinyaga, Meru, Tharaka Nithi, Meru and Machakos, but that should be Embu and Machakos, supported through World Bank funds. That the first phase of the World Bank supported coffee revitalization project will focus on the 8 counties, and based on the outcome of these pilots, the program will be upscaled and outscaled to all coffee growing counties. That the pilots will be funded by World Bank for Kenya shillings 1.5 billion. And the county governments will also avail counterpart funds of up to 500 million. That the selection of the 8 counties was guided by the following criteria: current production and farmer population. About 75% of all the clean coffee produced, and 70% of the smallholder coffee farmers in the country are in the selected counties. 2, alignment of coffee revitalization to county priorities for agriculture development. In all the above counties, coffee is prioritized in the CIDPs as an intervention in addressing food security. Other ongoing complementary revitalization initiatives, such as the Value Chain Support Program. The county governments have committed a lot of resources in addressing the challenges in the coffee sector. The program will be complementing their efforts. 4, willingness by counties to inject additional investment of up to 100 million shillings to the coffee revitalization project. And 5, potential for quick wins through productivity increase. The national government, through this World Bank-supported initiative, will provide a catalytic push to have major impact, as the county governments have made major steps toward the revitalization of this important subsector. The phase 2 of the project, expected to begin in September 2020, shall bring on board other coffee-producing counties. That since the project was initiated, the ministry has involved the Council of Governors. During the launch of the project, all the phase 1 counties were invited and they all participated. That the World Bank-supported coffee revitalization program will be anchored in 2 World Bank-funded programs, which are ongoing in the counties. Therefore, at the county level, these projects have functional implementation structures which shall be used in the management of the projects. At the national level, a technical advisory committee has been formed. This committee is made up of the relevant national government institutions, the CECs of the implementing counties, and a representative of stakeholder institutions. The terms of reference of the committee is to coordinate and ensure efficient and effective implementation of the project and prudent utilization of resources, among others. The project implementation is subject to World Bank conditionality and will be subject to normal audit processes. A concern was raised by the senators present on the failure of the ministry to adhere to Article 10 of the Constitution in the allocation of the World Bank funds, noting that the criteria used was unconvincing. It was noted that it was untrue that 75% of coffee was grown in the 8 counties and that Kiambu County could not be said to have high production, as at least half of the county is currently under real estate. In addition, counties such as West Pokot County that had set aside approximately 250 million shillings to coffee revitalization programs had not been included in the pilot phase of the project. The Speaker, sir, the Cabinet Secretary asserted that there was no hidden agenda in the disbursement of funds, and added that the rationale was that if the funds were spread out, the impact of the project would be very little. He requested that the project proceeds as it is currently, so as to unlock funds for phase 2. Following deliberations, the Cabinet Secretary committed to bring forward the commencement of phase 2 of the project to July 2020 and to table before the committee the World Bank commitment evidencing the availability of funds for the second phase of the project. Mr. Speaker, I thank you, and I want to also inform the House that I am uncomfortable reading this statement because my county is a beneficiary of my county is a beneficiary of these funds. But Mr. Speaker, the statement is not about which county, it's about the rationality of the distribution of the funds. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Okay, it's also work in progress, but I'll allow Senator Wetangula, who asked to make a comment, and but keep them brief. Senator Ongeri, then Senator Wamatangi, then we close.
Mr. Speaker, this rigmarole from the chairman of the committee, a man I respect so much, is very sad. When he was Minister for Cooperatives, Mr. Speaker, Senator Ndwiga did a sterling job visiting every coffee growing area of this country, including Bungoma. The minister is right that there's no hidden agenda in the disbursement because it's an open agenda. We can see it. He's deliberately taken World Bank funds and taken to one region of the country. Mr. Speaker, yesterday I participated in the hearing, and the minister was completely unable to explain the basis for this skewed use of resources in our country. Mr. Speaker, coffee grown in Kisii, Nyamira, Bungoma, Trans Nzoia, West Pokot, Kericho, Nandi, Kakamega, Vihiga, is all brought and milled in Thika. Hence the assertion that is false that 75% of coffee comes from Central Kenya. It is our coffee that is milled in Thika that creates that 75%. We demand, Mr. Speaker, that the chair of this committee, who has not given his own conclusion on the matter or direction, stops the minister from disbursing these funds. Because yesterday, Mr. Speaker, I asked the minister, how can you say that phase 2 is coming and you will fast track and bring it forward when you have no control over how the World Bank disburses its money? At all, at all. Number 2, Mr. Speaker, like I did say, Kiambu, for example, almost half of Kiambu coffee production has crumbled to real estate. So on what basis are you saying that Kiambu is growing more coffee than Trans Nzoia or Bungoma or Kisii? This impunity, Mr. Speaker, must stop. I consulted the governor of West Pokot. He's put 250 million on coffee production this year. The count is not here. The minister had the courage to tell us that Tharaka Nithi has put 50 million, and that's why it is there. Where is justice in this, Mr. Speaker? So we demand that if this House has to continue representing the people of Kenya in equitable distribution, benefit, and fairness on the resource of this country, this program must be stopped, and counties must be brought on board that produce coffee. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, I also spoke to the chairman of COG, Governor Paranya, and he denies COG ever being invited to send their CECs for agriculture to participate in this program. So what the minister is saying, calling CECs of agriculture, are the CECs of his chosen counties to participate in a skewed, flawed, unfair, irrational, and unconstitutional process. Mr. Speaker, we need help from this House for the country to benefit from resources that come to this country. Thank you.
Senator Professor Ongere.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I thank the chairman of the Agricultural Committee for bringing us this brief report. And the esteemed chairman knows very well that at one time, those of us, when he brought up the coffee rehabilitation program, the rules that need to apply to coffee, we went to every county. And I remember Chairman Senator Nduiga traveling to Kisii, Nyamira, going to western part of Kenya, and Kericho, and Nandi, and many, Vihiga, Kakamega, Bungoma. You know, it was quite clear. And there was a rare hope that for once, the coffee industry will be revived because it's one of the most important crops, cash crop economy that can be able to be spread out throughout the country. We do not have the pleasure and the luxury of developing horticultural farms. That pleasure is not with us, but we do have the ability to be able to grow coffee in our respective regions. I have no quarrel with the World Bank giving money to Kenya. In fact, we welcome it. But I have a problem in rationalizing how this experiment, rather as it were, was only skewed to one region. The conclusion I can make is just this one way of marginalization. And we are the people's representative. We cannot accept a situation where resources of rehabilitating one of our most export-earning crop in the name of coffee, one part of this country is being just blanked out. And it's not fair. And you know, like Senator Wetangula said, most of these coffee cherries and the other things were brought all the way to Ruiru, Thika, in the interest that they will have a better machinery to process all these things for better coffee exports. And we agreed. We have no quarrel with that. But why should a farmer be marginalized? Because that's the only earnings that they can get from coffee. Tea industry is also on the downward trend. It's only the other day we had another committee, Mr. Speaker, led by Senator Aaron Cheriot, and I was a member of that committee, and we came, and I think Senator Nduga was in that committee too. We came with a perfect solution on how to handle tea. And farmers had a high expectation that if both coffee and tea were resuscitated, the economy of a small-scale farmer will be improved. The other day when I spoke in this house, the Kisii County, Nyamira County, and the neighboring counties were extremely happy when this issue brought by Senator Wetangula came to this floor. Today, that answer is going to make them be very miserable. So my request is that can the minister go back, the chairman of this committee, persuade the minister to go back and rationalize whatever pilot schemes that you are doing, rationalize this pilot scheme so that we are able to get this country well represented and these items being catered for each and everybody to know that phase one is going to cater for so many counties, and phase two will also cater for so many other counties left out. But you cannot cramp just that section alone in one area and say that that's a pilot scheme. The next will come after 2022. 2022 is an election year, and that's a promise in the basket. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, Senator Wamatangi, but honorable senators, remember we are sitting up to 6:30 and we have voting to do in the divisions in a short while, so keep it short, Senator Wamatangi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Indeed, I will be very short. First, I want to acknowledge, indeed, Mr. Speaker, that the concerns that have been raised by members of this House are well placed. They are legitimate concerns for any representative of the people to ensure that indeed the concerns of every Kenyan are addressed. And I want to say, Mr. Speaker, that there's none of us, especially those of us from coffee growing areas, who can pretend that they do not know the plight of coffee farmers or farmers in general. And Mr. Speaker, if there's a lot of farmers who have suffered, it is coffee farmers. I'm witness, because I go to their meetings all the time in Kiambu. And the kind of life they're living, it's just simply miserable. It's hand to mouth, no matter how many acres of farming, of coffee you're farming. Mr. Speaker, having said that, I just wanted to put two issues to light and also to correction, Mr. Speaker. One, I regret that my colleague, Senator Duga, the chairperson of that committee, I did not invite me as one of the senators from the coffee growing areas. I would have loved to be invited to that meeting so that we could also add value to the discussion. And I pray that in the next meeting, please do invite all of us so that we can make valuable contribution. Mr. Speaker, let me correct the misconception that half of Kiambu County, which indeed is an agricultural county largely, is now under real estate. And what I just wanted the House to appreciate is simple, that post-independence, Mr. Speaker, all the people of Kiambu who are farmers indeed all rushed to adapting coffee farming because it was profitable. The nature of the farms we have in Kiambu are very small farms. And so those who have big farms and small farms, everybody went into coffee farming. But because of the invite of real estate, a substantial amount or number of people, Mr. Speaker, have gone to coffee farming and to real estate. But the majority of farmers, indeed the bulk of large-scale farmers, still in Kiambu, who are still having their farms under coffee, as very, very many, Mr. Speaker, and also small-scale farmers. So I want to be clear and right on record of this House that majority and a lot of farmers are still farming coffee. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, I want to make a point that that I also believe needs to go on record here. Mr. Speaker, about 5 months ago, I was invited to another meeting. And I would want to pass this information, Mr. Speaker, with your permission, and also table documents to this House. I was invited to another meeting by a company called Blue Marble Core Coffee Mission, which has been contracted by the World Bank to do research with a view of supporting coffee farming in Kenya. And I have the documents here, Mr. Speaker. And when I went to participate in that meeting, my concern myself then, and this is the controversy, is that the county of Kiambu and other counties in that section have been left out in this particular research that is being done with a view to assisting coffee farmers via the World Bank and indeed helping them then market their coffee. The documents are here. I will share them with the rest of the senators. I'll table them and give them to the committee, because then, unless, in my view, then the World Bank is carrying two parallel projects, because this is a meeting that was held here in one of the main hotels at Kempinski. I was invited as a member of a coffee growing area, so I'll forward the documents to the chairperson, Mr. Speaker. Then we could add value to this and ask in this discussion, is it that then there are two parallel procedures that even the minister or the cabinet secretary is not aware, Mr. Speaker. With those remarks, Mr. Speaker, I appreciate. Thank you.
Senator Mogeni desperately asking for attention. Please keep it brief so that we...
Mr. Speaker, thank you for giving this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, I want to go on record as fully agreeing with the sentiments that have been put forth by Senator Moses Wetangula. Mr. Speaker, as Senator for Nyamira, I've been bombarded by many questions from the farmers who grow coffee in Nyamira, and there are many. Mr. Speaker, I want to remind the Minister for Agriculture that in terms of square kilometers, the land that we occupy in Nyamira may not be the same as the land that is in, for example, the county of Nyamira. So this idea of 75% coffee coming from Central could be because of the land size. And Mr. Speaker, I know the Minister for Agriculture. He's a colleague, he's a lawyer, and he's a wise man. And wise men change their mind. He can read the mood of the House. He can see the sentiments of representatives of the people from Western Kenya, from Nyanza. If a mistake was made, there is time to correct it, Mr. Speaker, because it's really not fair to go along with this kind of arrangement where all the counties from Western Kenya and Nyanza have been left out. I want to make an appeal, Mr. Speaker, to the Minister for Agriculture to review the decision that he made, take into account the fact that, Mr. Speaker, farmers are suffering. We are going through this COVID-19 pandemic. There is desperation all over the country. And this should even give him an opportunity to review his decision and think about the farmers in Nyamira, the farmers in Bungoma, the farmers in Kisii. And we are speaking on their behalf, Mr. Speaker. There is nothing about politics here, Mr. Speaker. It's a matter of us wanting a process that is not only fair, but is seen to be fair. So I want to urge Chairman to convince the Minister for Agriculture to review his decision and ensure that farmers from these other regions also benefit. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair, I think you want to say something so we conclude.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. I have listened to my colleagues. Mr. Speaker, the truth of the matter is this. And I am surprised because Senator Wetangula, I was with him. And I called him even in the morning, said, please come and join. Because we wanted to get to know the truth about these projects. Mr. Speaker, what has happened is the following. There are two funds. One fund was cotton, the other fund was coffee. And the ministry, in their wisdom, decided that since all this is revitalization, they will start with cotton from the western side and coffee from this other side. In other words, those of us from the eastern side, we are not benefiting from the cotton fund. Before I even go to the cotton fund, on the issue, on the coffee, on the issue on the table, the issue of coffee, I wish my colleagues would read that document. The amount of money is 1.5 billion. 1.5 billion. If you are to spend 1.5 billion throughout this country, it will be, the effect will not be felt. Even as it is now, this money is not to revitalize coffee in coffee estates and places. It is for cooperatives specifically. In my own county, only out of 32 cooperatives, only 4 will benefit from this program. So you can imagine, if we were to spend that amount throughout, what then would happen? This morning, because I promised I would do that, and you had me promise that I would make a follow-up today because I was coming to the House. I wanted to know because I had heard the sentiments of my colleagues from the western side. This morning I followed up with the CS to know when the next project, because whereas I agree that really if this World Bank project is going to be effective, we've got to use the money the way it is. Me and Wetangula, we've been in government, and you know, if there's this project here, World Bank has committed, they will not move in another tranche before you take the first one. But be that as it may, Mr. Speaker, this morning I was convinced that the ministry now is going to be summoning the governors because it is the counties which are the front line, the counties which must put in the counterpart funds, that they're going to summon the governors from the western side, and they are aware. Already the governors are aware. The CECs, Mr. Wetangula is talking about, are the CECs of the counties which are benefiting from the initial projects. Those are the ones which were invited. It's not all CECs. So CECs from Western Province, from the Western section, will be invited once their counties have put in the commitment for these funds. And then the other thing on West Pokot, because I even pressed that today. West Pokot has done very well. And Mr. Speaker, I want to say that when I was in charge of these Manenos, I traveled all over, and I know the future of coffee is not the eastern side. The future of coffee is Bungoma, West Pokot, Trans Nzoia, those places. That I know. And Mr. Speaker, I am more than convinced that if we are going to have revitalization and if you're going to have this project working, it's going to be national. I am happy. But it cannot be national at the same time. Number two, Mr. Speaker, on the cotton issue, the cotton, those of us who come from eastern side, we have not complained that we are not benefiting. We have not complained. I've not heard the Makueni senator complain in the House that he's not benefiting from because he should. We also grow cotton in Makueni and those other places. Mr. Speaker, the way it is now, I am convinced, beyond doubt, that we need to have this program moving the way it has been said.
Your point of order, Senator Mwaruma.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think I didn't know what was the report was all about, but it would not be
so
proper.
How do you comment on something you don't know about?
It would not be proper. No, before he started presenting. But now I am privy to what he's saying. And my good friend, Senator Ndwiga, I wanted to go on record that Taita Taveta also produces coffee. Yeah. It does produce coffee. And it's also very viable when it comes to production of cotton. We are neighbors with Senator Makueni. He has not complained, but I'm complaining because next to Makueni we have Kishushe areas that are very viable for cotton growing. So I think we communicate using WhatsApp.
What's your point of
Some
order?
of these information should have been put in WhatsApp so that all of us...
Is that a point of order or a point of...
The point of order is that is it in order that if information concerning all senators is disseminated using phone calls to Senator Wetangula, Senator so-and-so, instead of putting it in a place where all of us can see it and benefit from it, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Ndwiga, can you conclude?
Yes, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, yes, I agree. Actually, today, on the issue of cotton, the issue of cotton is not about Mount Kenya East or Mount Kenya West. We have a lot of cotton in Taita Taveta, a lot of cotton in Tana River, Mr. Speaker, down the coast. And it was not in the first project. And today I insisted that the whole country must be, because Mr. Speaker, when I come to this Senate, I'm talking to the country, and the senators are all here. So we cannot have one part that is not represented in whatever government is doing. And Mr. Speaker, I commit as Chair of Agriculture, I commit to bring regular reports on these projects, on this particular project. Indeed, by June, we would want to know how far we have gone with a project in Western Kenya. I commit to this House that that will happen. On both, now not just on coffee, on both cotton and coffee.
Oh, Senator Wetangula, very briefly, because we must...
Speaker, Mr. Speaker, the chairman of the committee...
What's your point of order, Senator Murkomen?
Mr. Speaker, to be fair to the House, the business that is ahead of us is a lot, especially two bills, one which must be disposed today. And Senate Business Committee had said today that the statements will be read, there will be no debate. But you've already allowed a large latitude in most of those statements. Mr. Speaker, please, in the constraints of time, I'll request that follow-up questions should be taken to the committee.
Okay, allow to Wetangula. Then after that, the other statements, time allowing, we shall come back.
Mr. Speaker, I'll be very brief. Senator for Embu is not being serious with the House. The World Bank does not choose counties where to put money. It is a flawed thinking in the ministry that picks one region and excludes all others. And that's what we're protesting. And let's not mix the issue of cotton and coffee. We don't even know how much money there is in cotton. We have seen no record here or any report on cotton. We are dealing with coffee. Let's not muddy the waters. We want fairness. And I expect you, my brother Ndwiga, the senator for Embu, who carries a lot of respect from your previous engagement in coffee, to bring fairness to the country. Don't justify the unjustifiable, because we, Senator Malala here, and everybody else, Senator Ongeri, we are not happy. And we can't pretend that you give us an assurance and then we smile away. We are not happy.
I think, Senator Wetangula, to be fair, the chair has committed himself, and of course he has had the sentiments, and this is also an ongoing matter. So I would ask that as you even consult further with the minister, please note the sentiments or the concerns that have been raised by...
Mr. Speaker, can I inform the House?
No, order. We must progress. That matter is closed because... What's your point of order, Senator Malala?
Mr. Speaker, Senator Wetangula was very clear as to what resolution he would want this House to adopt. He had suggested that this House adopts a resolution that the disbursement and the implementation of that project be stopped until this matter is resolved amicably. So I wish this House can resolve to say that the disbursement of these funds be stopped until we resolve as a House. Thank you.
But for that to be done, there needs to be a motion. So it's a proposal that has been put forward where the chair has noted, and when he gives the report, then we'll be able to decide on how we move forward. Senator Mutula Kilozo Jr., what's your...
I am proposing, Chair, for good order. He mentioned that we grow coffee. I have 9 coffee factories in my own village. Let him send the report, and then we can follow up later and deal with this issue as we go along, but also addressing the issues raised by Senator Wetangula and Malala. Thank you.
Noted. Next order.
Order number 8, the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 4 of 2020, first reading. And a bill for an act of Parliament to amend the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act to provide a structured mechanism through which Parliament is able to receive reports from public officers on the resolutions passed by Parliament and for connected purposes.
First reading, yeah?
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Senator, what is your point of order?
Mr. Speaker, just for good order of the House, it will be good for you to tell us at what point we'll go back to the statements. Mr. Speaker, right now there are more than 5,000 people homeless in Kariobangi, and that is a really urgent statement. I know other senators have statements, but for good order, it will be good for us to know, and we'll come back to that because we really must also speak to those issues to address those who are currently, as we speak, during this corona, homeless because of demolitions that have happened in Kariobangi, in Embakasi North constituency, Mr. Speaker.
I said after order number 10, 11, and 12, time allowing, we'll come back to statements that are urgent. So I direct that we read the next orders. Clerk.
Order number 10, the Fisheries Management and Development Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 22 of 2019, second reading, division. Order number 11, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Amendment number 3 Bill, National Assembly Bills number 35 of 2019, second reading, division. Order number 12, motion, adoption of the report of the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget regarding the implementation status of the Senate resolution on county government's infrastructure projects, division.
Okay, I direct that the division bell be rung for 3 minutes. I now direct that the bars be drawn and the doors closed. Okay, take your positions. Order. Leader of majority. Take your seats, leader of minority. Junior, take your seat. Honorable Senators, I now put the question, which is that the Fisheries Management and Development Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 22 of 2019, be read a second time. Roll call. Clerk.
Senator Adan Dulo Fatuma, Isiolo County. Senator Ali Abdullahi Ibrahim, Wajir County.
Okay, start.
Senator Adan Dulo Fatuma, Isiolo County.
Yes.
Senator Ali Abdullahi Ibrahim, Wajir County. Senator Cherarkei Samson Kiprotich, Nandi County. Senator Cheriot Aaron Kipkirui, Kericho County. Senator Haji Mohamed Yusuf, Garissa County. Senator Hargura Godana, Marsabit County.
Point of order, Speaker.
What's your point of order?
I thought we agreed it would look like if we call the names of people who are not invited to come to the chambers, it look like in the public eye they absconded. The people who are, I thought the names we just read is the people who are invited to come to the chambers today without going through the people who are not invited.
Yeah, you go through those who are invited.
Yeah.
Senator Hargura.
On a point of order.
Leader of minority.
I'm just worried for record. The use of the word invitation. The people are invited and others are not invited. I think there's a procedure we have agreed upon. So I think the public should not think like some people are invited and some people are not.
Maybe those who are designated to attend today.
That's a better word.
Okay.
Mr. Speaker, I'll go with the word designated.
Okay.
Senator Hargura Godana, Marsabit County.
Vote yes.
Senator Kamar Margaret Jepkoech, Wasingishu County.
Yes.
Vote yes. Senator Kihika Susan Wakarura, Nakuru County.
Yes.
Senator Kimani Wamatangi Paul, Kiambu County.
Yes.
Senator Langat Christopher, Andrew Bomet County.
Yes.
Senator Linturi Franklin Mithika, Meru County.
Yes.
Senator Mahamud Mohamed Maalim, Mandera County.
Yes.
Senator Mbito Michael Malinga, Trans Nzoia County.
Yes.
Senator Murkomen Onesimus Kipchumba, Elgeyo Marakwet County.
Yes.
Senator Mwangi Paul Githiomi, Nyandarua County.
Yes.
Senator Ndwiga Peter Njeru, Embu County.
Yes.
Senator Sakaja Johnson Arthur, Nairobi County.
Yes.
Senator Boy Issa Juma, Kwale County.
Yes.
Senator Madzayo Stewart Mwachiru, Kilifi County.
Yes.
Senator Malala Cleophas Wahungu, Kakamega County.
Yes.
Senator Mbogo George Ochilo Ayako, Migori County.
Yes.
I vote yes.
Senator Mogeni Eric Okongo, Nyamira County.
Yes.
Senator Mutula Kilonzo Junior, Makueni County.
Let me just check. Yes.
Senator Mwaruma Jones Mwashushe, Taita Taveta County.
Yes.
Senator Mwinyi Haji Mohamed Faki, Mombasa County.
Yes.
Senator Olekina Ledama, Narok County.
Yes.
Senator Ungeri Samson Kegengo, Kisii County.
Yes.
Senator Orengo James, Siaya County.
Yes.
Senator Outa Frederick Otieno, Kisumu County.
Yes.
Senator Wetangula Moses, Masika, Bungoma County.
Yes.
Okay, these are the results, honorable senators. Abstention 0, nays 0, ayes 26. The ayes have it.
A bill for an act of parliament to amend the Fisheries Management and Development Act and for connected purposes.
Okay. Honorable senators, I now put the question on order number 11, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, amendment number 3, Bill, National Assembly Bill, number 35 of 2019, second reading.
Senator Adan Dulo Fatuma, Isiolo County.
Yes.
Senator Hargura Godana, Marsabit County.
Yes.
Senator Kamar Margaret Jepkoech, Wasingishu County.
Yes.
Senator Kihika Susan Wakarura, Nakuru County.
Yes.
Senator Kimani Wamatangi Paul, Kiambu County.
Yes.
Senator Langat Christopher Andrew, Bomet County.
Yes.
Senator Linturi Franklin Mithika, Meru County.
Yes.
Senator Mahamud Mohamed Maalim, Mandera County.
Yes.
Senator Mbito Michael Malinga, Trans Nzoia County.
Yes.
Senator Murkomen Onesimus Kipchumba, Elgeyo Marakwet County.
Yes.
Senator Mwangi Paul Githiomi, Nyandarua County.
Yes. Yes.
Senator Ndwiga Peter Njeru, Embu County.
Yes.
Senator Sakaja Johnson Arthur, Nairobi County.
Yes.
Senator Boy Isa Juma, Kwale County.
Yes.
Senator Madzayo Stewart Mwachiru, Kilifi County.
Yes.
Senator Malala Cleophas Wahungu, Kakamega County.
No.
Senator Mbogo George Ochilo Ayako, Migori County.
I vote yes.
Senator
Yes.
Mogeni Eric Okongo, Nyamira County.
Yes.
Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr., Makueni County.
Yes.
Senator Mwaruma Jones Mwashushe, Taita Taveta County.
Yes.
Senator Mwinyi Haji Mohamed Faki, Mombasa County.
Yes.
Senator Ongeri Samson Kegengo, Kisii County.
Yes.
Senator Orengo James, Siaya County.
Yes.
Senator Outa Frederick Otieno, Kisumu County.
Yes.
Senator Wetangula Moses Masika, Bungoma County.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. You allow that you don't skip Olekina.
Senator Olekina Ledama.
Vote yes. It's your hair, by the way.
Okay, these are the results. The abstention 0, nays 1, ayes 25. The ayes have it.
A bill for an act of parliament to amend the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Act 2011 and for connected purposes.
Honorable Senators, I now put the question on order number 12, which is the adoption of the report of the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget regarding the implementation status of the Senate resolution on county government's infrastructure projects. Second reading. It's a motion, sorry.
Senator Adan Dulo Fatuma, Isiolo County.
Yes.
Senator Hargura Godana, Marsabit County.
Yes.
Senator Kamar Margaret Jepkoech, Wasingishu County.
Yes.
Senator Kihika Susan Wakarura, Nakuru County.
Yes.
Senator Kimani Wamatangi Paul, Kiambu County.
Yes.
Senator Langat Christopher, Bomet County.
Yes.
Senator Linturi Franklin Mithika, Meru County.
Yes.
Senator Mahamud Mohamed Maalim, Mandera County.
Yes.
Senator Mbito Michael Malinga, Trans Nzoia County.
Yes.
Senator Murkomen Onesimus Kipchumba, Elgeyo Marakwet County.
Yes.
Senator Mwangi Paul Githiomi, Nyandarua County.
Yes.
Senator Ndwiga Peter Njeru, Embu County.
Yes.
Senator Sakaja Johnson Arthur, Nairobi County.
Yes.
Senator Boy Isa Juma, Kwale County.
Yes.
Senator Madzayo Stewart Mwachiru Kilifi County.
Yes.
Senator Malala Cleophas Wahungu Kakamega County.
Yes.
Senator Mbogo George Ochilo Ayako Migori County.
I vote yes.
Senator Mogeni Eric Okongo Nyamira County.
Yes.
Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr. Makueni County.
Yes.
Senator Mwaruma Jones Mwashushe Taita Taveta County.
Yes.
Senator Mwinyihaji Mohamed Faki Mombasa County.
Yes.
Senator Olekina Ledama Narok County.
Yes.
Senator Ongeri Samson Kegengo Kisii County.
Yes.
Senator Orengo James Siaya County.
Yes.
Senator Outa Frederick Otieno Kisumu County.
Yes.
Senator Wetangula Moses Masika Bungoma County.
Yes.
What is your point of order?
Mr. Speaker, without talking a lot, I have just received some concern from some other quarters saying that the leader of majority and the leader of minority are voting on behalf of senators. And that if that is the case, the bills from this house may be rejected from the other side. Now what I'm asking is, let me just prosecute. Because the senators are here, would it not be in order for them to actually vote, even when the delegations have been confirmed? Thank you.
I think I gave guidelines, and if that's the issue, I'll give a ruling next sitting. The Senator Junior.
I'm equally concerned about where Senator Mwaura is sitting vis-a-vis where Senator Abshiro Alake is sitting. There is no distance in between them. It's in complete violation of the rules. I'm actually more concerned about Abshiro.
Okay, let's proceed. Okay, these are the results. Abstention 0, the nays 0, ayes 26, the ayes have it. So I direct that the bars be drawn, the doors open. Then we go to order number 13, but we'll still have a division, yeah? Yeah. One Kara. Yeah.
Order number 13, the County Allocation of Revenue Bill, Senate Bills number 7 of 2020, second reading.
Chairman.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that the County Allocation Revenue Bill, Senate Bills number 7 of 2020, be now read a second time. So, Speaker, sir, the House will recall that we did pass the Division of Revenue Bill 2020-2021, and 339.8 billion shillings in aggregate was allocated to the counties. This is made of equitable share of 316.5 billion as set out in the first schedule to the bill. 2, conditional allocation from national government share of revenue, Kenya shillings 23.16 billion, as indicated in Schedule 2 to the bill. And C, conditional allocations on loans as loans and grants from development partners, totaling to Kenya shillings 30.2 billion shillings, as indicated in third schedule. Mr. Speaker, sir, the House is aware that we are seized with the third generation of revenue sharing between counties, but this has not been finalized to date. The law requires under Article 217 of the Constitution that Parliament, by resolution, that both houses adopts a new formula as submitted by CRA. The House is aware that we have actually gone through that substantially, but because of this the situation we're in today, we have not been able to finalize. And because the CARA has been introduced as required under Article 218 of the Constitution, especially Article 218B, that the bill be introduced 2 months before the financial year, so that counties can also be able to do their budget. So, Speaker, sir, Article 217 of the Constitution, 217.7, actually provides that a basis that has been approved by Parliament shall be binding until a subsequent resolution is approved. So for us, as a committee, we have the view that the second generation formula can still be used because the other one has not been put in place. The process that's required under third generation is a very rigorous one because the third generation introduces different parameters. And in fact, the parameters are very elaborate, good as they are. We are not able to finalize. And in fact, before the COVID-19 onset, we were planning to have a series of engagement with the senators, with other stakeholders in sessions that are elaborate so that they can be able to finalize. Since we are not finalized, we are proposing that as per under Article 217 of the Constitution, the basis that's already been approved by the House, by the Parliament, that is second generation be utilized. So Speaker, sir, Article, as you are aware, the other bill, part of the bill, of course, is the issue of Nairobi County, pursuant to Article 1872 of the Constitution and Gazette Notice number 1609 of February 2020, some functions of Nairobi County government are set out in Part 2 of the fourth schedule to the Constitution were transferred to the national government.
What's your point of order, Senator Sakaja?
Please advise the chair to sit. No two members shall be on their feet. Mr. Speaker, the chairman of this committee has raised an issue which I think truly needs your direction. Mr. Speaker, the Constitution is very clear with respect to the basis for sharing of revenue. And at this time, Mr. Speaker, we have been waiting for the third basis of revenue, the third formula, because many of us, Mr. Speaker, feel that this second formula has been disenfranchising our counties, especially counties that are populous. Mr. Speaker, before moving on forward on this stage of this bill, Mr. Speaker, I want to ask that you rule on whether indeed, despite the provisions of the Constitution, and despite the fact that it is the same committee that has sat on the formula for many, many, many months, Mr. Speaker, whether we should proceed with this bill. Mr. Speaker, I feel very strongly for the people of Nairobi that we deserve a new formula. And I know very many other counties know that, and it's not just a suggestion. The Constitution is clear about how long one formula should stay. So we cannot benefit from our own, or whoever cannot benefit from them not doing their work of giving us a formula. Mr. Speaker, I want you to rule on whether you proceed on this before we have the formula brought by the same committee, and that you rule, Mr. Speaker, that the committee within 1 week, even if they want to bring the same formula, let them bring a formula and let us have considered a formula for sharing revenue. There is no other more serious work that a senator has, apart from determining the manner in which our counties shall divide money, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, I beg for your ruling on this matter before we proceed any further. Thank you.
Senator Oledam.
Mr. Speaker, sir, thank you. I'd like to join my colleague, Senator Sakaja, and really express my dissatisfaction with the committee because this is a very important matter. Right now, Narok County is receiving money based on a population of 850,000 people. Yet we know that the people who reside in Narok County, based on the 2019 population census, are 1.1 million people. The amount of money being divided for the people of Narok is less than what they should be able to get. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, I think this is about time that we stop rushing things and we decide matters for the interest of the 47 million people. The Commission of Revenue Allocation has come up with a proposed formula, which I believe that this is what we should be discussing here, instead of hearing the chairperson, whom I have a lot of respect for, talking about the challenges that they have encountered dealing with the issue of the third generation formula. This is a matter that we cannot be setting the Constitution in abeyance. We need to sit down and discuss so that when we divide money, it doesn't matter who gets what, but we are within the law. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, I would like to request that we stop the debate on this CARA until we can be able to comply with the Constitution in terms of the third generation formula. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Senator Matangi Kimani.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the record of this House and the activities of the Senate, Mr. Speaker, bear witness to the fact that the endeavor to have the formula that is supposed to be used in disbursement of funds at this time, the record has been so clear, Mr. Speaker. Indeed, this matter has been before the Finance Committee so many times. There has been so many numerous correspondence and endeavors by members of this House, Mr. Speaker, to have this matter resolved by the Finance Committee, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, it is completely out of order, Mr. Speaker, that the House can endorse and should endorse an unconstitutional process, Mr. Speaker, because that is outside the Constitution, in lieu of excuses by the Committee on Finance, Mr. Speaker.
What's your point of order, leader? But it's on a point of order. Order, leader. He's still on a point of order, leader of majority.
Yes,
it's still
I'm on a point of order, Mr.
Okay.
Speaker.
Yeah.
And my point of order is simple, that, Mr. Speaker, it is unconstitutional. Is the committee, is the chairperson in order, Mr. Speaker, to fail to live up to his responsibility and the mandate of his committee in terms of facilitating, Mr. Speaker, this House to be in line and compliant to the constitutional requirements, Mr. Speaker, of disbursing monies to accountants, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, in that respect, Mr. Speaker, I want to firmly, Mr. Speaker, also join my colleagues in saying that the committee they should, and this House cannot agree with the committee until they bring the formula that has been discussed here, and we shall pass only the CARA based on a third generation of formula, not another formula, but the one that we have discussed. Mr. Speaker, we have sat in hotels, we have held meetings,
you have made your point of order.
That is the only way it should go, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Kimani, then Susan, then...
Thank you.
I'll give you leader.
On a point of order, Majority Leader, please. I also join my colleagues in actually just restating almost the same thing, that I believe very strongly there is no reason why we should proceed with this CARA based on the previous formula. The Finance Committee has had, this has been in their committee for a very, very long time, for very many months. I actually remember very many meetings last year, many breakfast meetings which were called and cancelled and never really upheld. So we are wondering if there is mischief in bringing this CARA before bringing the third generation formula. However, I have a lot of respect for the chair of that committee, and I'm sure maybe there is a misunderstanding, but as a House, I believe we should not proceed until we have the new third generation formula.
Senator, Leader of Majority?
Mine was just more or less a way forward, Mr. Speaker. I need your attention. Yeah, mine is it's a way forward. The issues being raised are valid and they're the same, so I didn't want us to over-repeat. My suggestion to you, Speaker, is first, you listen to the chair why they have not brought the formula. But two, since the formula anyway, there is usually no guarantee that it will pass in the manner in which each one of us in their head thinks that they will pass for their benefit. It usually comes back here and it's negotiated like we did last time and so forth and so forth. I would suggest the way forward to be this, that if members feel like the formula must be used for the for this year, in whatever form we will have passed, we first of all continue today with the second reading, with part of the contribution saying that it will be amended in the committee stage to follow the formula. Then we complete that second reading, and before committee stage, we should sort the formula first before we go and amend. If not, the next advice is to advise the chair to withdraw, depending, Mr. Speaker, on the answer he has concerning the formula. But the concerns are valid.
Yes, Chair, can you respond? Then I'll make a ruling. Oh, Senator James Orengo, sorry.
Mr. Speaker, if there is a provision in the Constitution that is clear on the power and authority of the Senate, is on the question of the generation of the formula. And every other action that is taken by other organs of state is dependent on the resolution of the Senate.
Now, if the Senate is not clear on that resolution, then every other action that follows consequentially is not based on a material that has been properly considered by the Senate. Me, I really believe in times like this, when the county governments are being put, against the wall on what they are doing about many challenges. And at the end of the day, the question of the sharing of revenue and what goes to the counties is central. We cannot proceed without abiding by that constitutional provision. We have been complaining about what the other house does when they pass things without abiding by the Constitution. Now we want to, for convenience, pass something because we are going to go to the third reading. The most dangerous phase in the deliberations of the House is the third reading, because the third reading, there's really no debate. But at the point at which senators can talk, significantly and concretely on the issue of the formula is during the second reading. So I plead with the chair. You have been doing a very good job, but on this question, where the Constitution is very clear, we don't share this power with any other authority. We don't. Other powers are shared. Please, on this one, come with what the Constitution demands, and we shall agree with you if you persuade us, but not on the condition that we just pass and then go to the third reading.
Senator Sakaja, what's your point of order? I think it was...
Mr. Speaker, I am glad that my colleagues have caught on to this, and we're mainly in agreement, majorly. And again, as Senator Kika said, this is with a lot of respect and high regard to the chairman of this committee. Mr. Speaker, fortunately, our standing orders give us a way out. In Standing Order 32, adjournment of the Senate. A senator may at any time, for reasons stated, seek to leave, that the Senate do now adjourn. And Mr. Speaker, we can use this provision to adjourn debate on this motion, so that we can thereafter consult and agree on how the formula is brought to us. But you can use this provision, Mr. Speaker, to adjourn debate on this motion of this bill.
Senator Murkomen, then Senator Wetangula. Murkomen, then Wetangula. Sorry.
Mr. Speaker, as I said, we must find a way forward. There is a better standing order than the one Senator Sakaja has referred to. I'm trying to get it, which I used last time to withdraw a bill from the House before actually midway when I was moving it. But that's not even the issue. On this particular issue, Mr. Speaker, I want you to prepare the House. On the issue of the formula, it's very important for all of us, if that is now where we are going. And if we agree today that we withdraw Kara and deal with the formula first, the Speaker, first of all, yourself and the clerk must prepare a better chambers for that debate, because it cannot be delegated to 28 senators. All 47 counties, Mr. Speaker, must be represented. Senator Orengo has said, as he has done, is a very weighty matter. This one will not require, there is no one who will delegate to someone to say, Mr. Speaker, this and that person will represent us. So, Chair, please give us the formula. But Speaker, during the debate of this formula, and in future, of course, Mr. Speaker, on issues that are of that nature or comparative level, it will be very difficult to designate 28 senators.
You have not given an alternative standing order. You said there was a better one.
No, I said I'll get it for you. If I don't give you, the clerks will give you, but I'll give you shortly. The main point I was making was not about the standing order. Okay. The main issue was that when it comes to, from my experience, when it comes to this formula itself, you cannot, everybody wants usually to go on record about this county. The 47 counties must be in the chambers when that decision is being made. It's very weighty, it takes 5 years. It has great implications on how resources are going to be shared. So this is one of those issues that, as a majority leader, I would not be comfortable to designate 15 senators to come and deliberate.
Senator Wetangula, then Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr.
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Speaker, I'm a member of the Finance Committee, And like everybody else has said, Senator Mahmood has steered this committee very well. Mr. Speaker, the point is, the committee has met with CRA. We've gone through the formula. We have actually had a unanimous view on the formula. So what we need, and I agree with the members who have raised concerns, that this is one singular, most important constitutional assignment for this House. There's no other. This is a very important assignment because it is the only time that the relevance of this House rises to the highest notch. Sharing of revenue. So I want to urge my chair that following what the majority leader has said, Mr. Speaker, it's very simple. Erect a dome at Nyayo Stadium or Kasarani for the entire Senate to sit, and this can be done very easily, or take the entire plenary of KICC or the National Assembly, which accommodate all of us, so that we can even, Mr. Speaker, because of the importance of this matter and the constitutional budgetary cycle going on, I would even urge the leadership of the House that this House can actually sit on Thursday this week and go through the formula. Once we approve it, then we move to Kara. Because I also share the views that certain counties, including mine, are getting not a very good deal in hanging on to the old formula. And the work has already been done. And I must say, CRA has done a very commendable job in bringing a new formula.
Senator Mtula Kilonzo Jr., then Ochila Yak.
Thank you, Chair. Speaker, the views of the members, and of course I must disclose that I sit in the Finance Committee with Senator Mahmood, and just like Senator Wetangula has mentioned, the report of this formula is already with us. I think what needs to be done, like you have proposed, is the information needs to be given to the senators. Once the information is given to the senators, then you can make a decision, but with a variation. Speaker, in the last formula, the Senate Committee of Finance invited all senators first into an informal setting. The reason is as follows. Speaker, eventually, all these senators, including Senator Sakaja, whatever formula is adopted, everybody wants to know what the bottom line is, eventually. That is what we ended up with in the last formula. Everybody looked at the bottom line, irrespective of what the formula was saying. And it will necessitate, Mr. Speaker, that in fact, not only the Senate, including CRA, will be required to do some element of permutations. And I'll give an example if you allow me an extra minute. In the last formula, those who had proposed that population quota was too high at 45, there was a permutation where it was reduced to 43. In the format of reducing population at that time, Nairobi went to the bottom, Lamu went to the top. So, Mr. Speaker, there should be an informal setting first, and make sure that all these senators can sit. National Assembly is not enough for us to sit, because at any given time now, they can only accommodate 50 or so. 70. And we can't be 70, we must be more, because we must involve CRA and possibly other stakeholders. So we need a bigger field where members can be given an opportunity to interrogate these issues vis-a-vis the amount that has been allocated, so that when we come back to this county revenue formula, then the understanding that we have as a committee and the understanding that we are moving this bill as a committee can then come to pass. Mr. Speaker, but on disclosure, there's nothing that the committee is hiding, only that the information should be given to all our colleagues so that a decision can be made. Thank you.
Senator Chila Yako, before you'll be...
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I heard the majority leader say that we can debate and then later on have the amendments brought. Mr. Speaker, that's the point I want to speak to. From my feeling and the feeling of members, I think the meat, the substance of the debate is in what we are waiting for. It would not be an efficacious way of using time to debate in a way that will be altered completely when the substance is brought. So I want to agree with Senator Sakaja that this debate be adjourned so that when we see the substance, when we see the meat, we can freely debate and conclude in an informed way the way forward. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Leader of Minority.
Mr. Speaker, just finally, this committee is one of the committees that does a very good job. But my problem with this committee all the time is that they come at the last minute. That is Kara, is Dora, and now the formula, we must pass it, you know. And you know, the Senate is let me use this word which the majority leader was using in some platform. You know, we're supposed to be the sages. You know, things don't just come to you at the last minute, and then you rush through it, and then say, we agree. On this question of the formula, I urge you, Mr. Speaker, let us get the report, because I understand there's a report. And even that report is not being made available to us. I think that report, before we meet either informally or formally, we must be able to get it in advance. If some people don't read it, I think, you know, that is justifiable in the sense that somebody has chosen not to read it. But, Mr. Speaker, they always say the evil is in the details. The evil is in the details. Let us have this report in good time, and we'll support the committee in their work. And that's what I want to say, Mr.
Just a minute, there are those who have not spoken, then I'll give you, okay, Senator Murkomen.
No, mine is 1 second, 10 seconds. You know, for the reflection of the record, I'd say there is a better standing order for withdrawal, so I want to report to the House that it is standing order 154, where the mover of the bill can, on his own volition, withdraw the bill at any given time. Just that I couldn't remember that point in time.
Okay, Senator Kamar, then I'll come to, okay, Kamar, Lekina, then I come to the chairman.
Assembly is too small. Can we go to KICC and use the round space? But I really do agree that we need an informal first. All of us must freely discuss and we must ask the Commission to give us different formulas so that we go through the formulas first, and by the time we go for the sitting, we can actually go in knowing that we have completely agreed. So I would have suggested that we have, if it is Thursday, we have a Thursday morning for the informal and an afternoon sitting to pass this. That's my proposal.
Senator Ledama.
Mr. Speaker, sir, thank you. I agree with Senator Mutula Kilonzo that it is imperative for all senators, the 47 counties together with the other special elect, to understand how much money is going to their counties. This is the most important thing. And the only way we can understand that is if CRA walks us through each and every parameter. If it is population, if it is health, because there are those who believe that population is 18%. Health is between 17 and 22%. What does that really mean? And I know and I understand the predicament that the chair of finance is facing, because there was that debate, which we cannot run away from, Mr. Speaker, sir, on whether we are looking at the land size or we are looking at distance to service. These are things that all of us must understand, so that by the time you go back to your county, you will say, as a senator, I have been able to work to bring X amount of money and into the county. But if we just read the report the last minute and we have to vote for it, we will not be able to explain anything. So this informal session between CRA and the senators, for us to be able to ask questions, so that, Mr. Speaker, sir, if we change one parameter, for instance, if we decide health is no longer 17% but 22%, what impact does it have? Mr. Speaker, sir, one other very important thing for all the senators to understand is that these factors are not just brought in arbitrarily. They look at the government policies, the ministry policies. we need to be able to understand, Mr. Speaker, sir, finally, we need to be able to understand how did the CRA come up with this policy?
I was going to say that what you are now delving in is what will be looked at. It will be discussed in that the informal sitting that we are the chair. And as you address,
Mr. Speaker, sir, let me appreciate the concerns of the senators and agree that what you are saying is all correct. Mr. Speaker, the committee is hiding nothing. The committee of this House, which is your committee, has been grappling with that formula, and we know there are a lot of issues. In fact, before this COVID came in, we did plan a retreat for CRA for 3 days to take us through the formula, each parameter after parameter, and what data they use. Because, you know, there are things like hospital visits, facility gaps, which you don't have with us, which you wanted the CRA to bring before us. Just a minute, Senator. I don't expect people to also cast aspersion on our committee that we're hiding something. We are hiding nothing. In fact, we wanted then to have a full day or 2 days of the Senate informally, not in a chamber, to go through this together, create that facility for us. But I assure you that we didn't even tell CRA to simulate further simulations, because, you know, the parameters have been set, percentage have been set.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
What's your point of order, Senator?
You have had your time.
Mr. Speaker, on a point of order.
Okay, what's your
I mean, I'm just informing, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, he's on a point of order.
No, he's not
Chair.
on a order. He's just responding.
Oh, okay.
He's not on a point of order. A point of order is raised by us. Then he responds. Yeah.
But, you know, things have been
you
said
cannot
about
raise a
us.
point
Okay,
of
order,
Yeah,
members.
Don't be. Mr. Speaker, the chair should not be worried because it's the members of his committee, Senator Wetangula, Senator Mutula Kilonzo, who have said really there's nothing to hide. So I don't think we need to go through that. All that he needs to do is to agree with us and follow the majority leader and say, let's defer, and we meet at a convenient time as informally. But nobody was casting aspersion. Everybody has said you're good and you're doing a good job.
Mr. Speaker, the Hansard has recorded some things, and I need to be clear on it. That's why, as a person, the chair of this committee, which I hope has done a lot for this House, I must be on record that I'm hiding nothing. I know the thinking behind some members, but we will, of course, bring this, give us the time, give us the facilities so that, you know, we can go through this. For the time being, Mr. Speaker, sir, I need not to go further. With the reasoning given by the members of this Senate, I withdraw the bill because it will not also be reasonable to go to second reading. So I withdraw. I will not proceeding with the moving of second reading, and we will come to the second day.
You adjourn.
We adjourn debate.
Point of order, Mrs. Okay.
No.
Okay, order, members. Order.
Mr. Speaker, sir, we elect not to proceed further with this bill. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Okay, honorable members. I want to direct the secretary, the clerk, to facilitate very quickly within this week an informal sitting so that this matter can be discussed conclusively, and by the time we meet and when we discuss in Kara, we have a new formula, third generation formula to use as.
Parliament also.
Yeah. Pardon? You will?
Mr. Speaker,
So, okay, yes, leader of
my request is that according to a direction, if we are told we meet, we should have that report in advance. We should not walk into the meeting and be given the report to read as the meeting is going on. It is an ambush and it is not qualitative.
Okay. Chair, you will avail the report to the members before then. So, clerk, you will write, will agree on when we are meeting informally.
I want us to proceed this way because the report, we want the CRA to take members through the formula, all the parameters. So I think members should be ready because the report, you saw the first submission by CRA, they have it. So I think there'll be no report we are going to give you. The report will be submitted by CRA to us and forward to you. I think a week will be very short, Mr. Speaker. a week will be very short. I think I will maybe discuss with the clerk department, see how best we go. And thereafter also we require this matter to go to the assembly. The assembly must agree so that, we have the formula done. We can't just plug it in ourselves.
Okay, we'll discuss with the clerk and then we'll... Senator Sakaja?
Mr. Speaker, if I heard right, the members of this committee have said that the committee has a report. Mr. Speaker, we're not asking for the CRA report. The Constitution is very clear. 216 says that CRA recommends. But the purpose of this committee under 217 is to deliberate upon those recommendations by CRA and do their report, because it's only the Senate that can determine the basis. In fact, Mr. Speaker, even without the CRA report, Senator Ledama can write a formula here and we pass it, because that mandate is ours. The CRA only recommends. So is there a committee report that we're getting? Because I think Senator Mutula was clear that the committee already has a report. Or is it the CRA report? Or other recommendation by CRA that we're getting? Which of?
Chair.
Because, Mr. Speaker, if the committee...
Okay.
Because, Chair, if the committee had actually tabled a report that is property of the House, that is where our discussion starts. So everything else is just additional information. Mr. Speaker, I yield completely.
Mr. Speaker, sir, let me say this. We have no report. What we have is CRA's recommendation to ourselves, which they took us through 2 weeks ago. We'll prepare a report now, if you want us. But I think by the time we come to this informal meeting, we need CRA to take the members through, and we also take them through our report. I think, but there's no report which we have actually finalized.
Okay, I think the committee can give what you have, whatever you have, whether it's a report or some draft or whatever, so the members can go through. Then CRA can take through the members in the informal sitting. Okay, honorable members, order. So we are not proceeding with the moving of the bill under order number 13. So we shall therefore resume at second reading after the meetings and consultations with CRA. Next order. Order number 9.
Order number 9, motion, alteration of the hours of meeting of the Senate.
Leader of majority.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to move the motion that pursuant to the Senate resolution made on 27 February 2020, approval of the Senate calendar, and 14th April 2020, alteration of the Senate calendar, the Senate pursuant to Standing Order 31.3b resolves to hold additional sittings every Tuesday morning starting from 10 a.m. and ending at 12:30 p.m., commencing from Tuesday 12th May 2020 until Tuesday 2nd June 2020. Mr. Speaker, the Senate Business Committee felt like there were too many statements that were not that too many, there are many statements, Mr. Speaker, that were coming to the floor. We also have many other business, considering we are sitting only for a day. It was necessary to have more time for members to prosecute the statements that come from their constituents and Mr. Speaker, concerns that usually don't wait for a long period of time. It has been demonstrated today by the many statements that are before you. So, Mr. Speaker, because this is also a procedural issue and necessary for this House, it's a very necessary change for this House for us to move forward. I will be requesting that the second minority leader will second. Mr. Speaker, request the House that we don't deliberate on this one so that we can proceed to the more substantive issues. I therefore beg to move and request Senator James Orengo to second.
Mr. Speaker, I would wish to second this motion and abide by the wishes of the majority leader in that we don't spend time on this. But Mr. Speaker, we have seen in the last 3 weeks other issues are emerging. We have been dealing with COVID. Now there's the issue of floods. And there are other issues that may arise. So it is important that the Senate or Parliament as a whole have more sittings in order to deal with these problems. Like today, Mr. Speaker, if you look at the business we're supposed to deal with, maybe we will not be able to cover even half of the business that is in the order paper. So, Mr. Speaker, I support this, and I wish to second. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Order, members. I now propose the question, which is that pursuant to the Senate resolutions made on 27th February 2020, approval of Senate calendar, and 14th April 2020, alteration of the Senate calendar, the Senate, pursuant to Standing Order 31, 3B, resolves to hold additional sittings every Tuesday morning, starting from 10 a.m. and ending at 12:30 p.m., commencing from Tuesday, 12th May 2020 until Tuesday, 2nd June 2020. Senator Wetangula.
And urge the majority leader that the non-sitting times of Parliament is 9 to 12:30 and 2:30 to 6:30. If we agree to sit on Tuesday, let's go by the norm of House sittings, because we have a lot of business, Mr. Speaker. I have motions of adjournment to discuss the issue of floods, the issue of trucks on the Malabar border that are now queuing for 40 kilometers before they cross the border, and many others. So I want to urge the majority leader that shift from 10 to 9 so that we don't lose this valuable 1 hour to cover as much business as we can. We agree to sit on Tuesday morning and Tuesday afternoon, but let's not lose that critical hour, because President tells us that houses of parliament in this country always sit from 9 to 12:30, 2:30 to 6:30.
That therefore requires an amendment.
Mr. Speaker.
Yes, leader of minority.
I think that the settlements by this Senator Wetangula are justified, but I think let's take it as in stride, because originally we had said we were going to meet until 5, but we have amended that as time progressed. So I think that the motion can be passed as it is. So the next week we can meet at 10, but the following week the appropriate amendment can be made so that we can meet at 9 o'clock in the morning.
I think in the interest of time,
I can live with that.
Okay. Honorable Senators, I now put the question, which is that pursuant to Senate resolutions made on 27th February 2020, approval of Senate calendar, and 14th April 2020, alteration of the Senate calendar, the Senate, pursuant to Standing Order 31, 3B, resolves to hold additional sittings every Tuesday morning, starting from 10 a.m. and ending at 12:30 p.m., commencing from Tuesday, 12th May 2020, until Tuesday, 2nd June 2020. As manner of that opinion, say aye. As manner of a contrary view, say nay. The ayes have it. Next order. Okay. Let's go back to statements, clerk.
Order number 7, statements.
Senator Sakaja.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for your very kind indulgence on this matter. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to request a statement pursuant to Standing Order 48.1. I rise to seek a statement from the Chairperson, Standing Committee on Land, Environment and Natural Resources, on demolitions of houses that have left more than 5,000 residents in Kariobangi, North Ward, Embakasi, North constituency homeless. Mr. Speaker, this is an exercise that is totally inhuman, ill-advised, and executed at the wrong time, without even giving reasonable notice to the residents to vacate. It is sad to note that, Mr. Speaker, despite a court order that was issued stopping the demolitions until the case is heard and determined, government agencies have gone, Mr. Speaker, with impunity and evicted 5,000 residents out to the cold and to the rain during Corona. It is completely incomprehensible as to why anybody would be in such a rush to render thousands of families homeless at such a time, Mr. Speaker, when you're facing a pandemic and citizens are being urged to stay at home, and the government is contravening its own guidelines by removing those homes where those people would stay in. Mr. Speaker, in as much as we support the repossession of public land, proper humane methods must be used. Those affected by these demolitions are the most vulnerable in our society, and they deserve protection from the government. In view of the above, Mr. Speaker, I would like to request the chairperson in response to address the following. One, to give us a detailed report explaining the circumstances that have led to eviction of the residents of Kariobangi sewerage area in Kariobangi North Ward. Number two, to give a report, because we know the other demolitions that are being planned, to give a report on all the land in Nairobi City County that is officially mapped as public land and road reserves, and to tell us where else these people intend to demolish so that we can take care of our people. Mr. Speaker, to outline the mechanisms that have been put in place to ensure human rights of innocent residents are not infringed upon during such exercises, to give the status of any legal action taken to charge government officials involved in illegal allocation of public land in Nairobi, and to explain how the government is going to compensate the affected residents and going to take care of them and cushion them, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the chair should note that just 5 kilometers from where these people have been evicted, the government today has announced that there are 29 coronavirus cases. 45 in Nairobi, 29 in Eastleigh, 5 kilometers from there. So we need to know what is this urgency to leave people out in the cold, and at a time where you even restricted them, they cannot even go to their rural homes if they want to leave Nairobi. Mr. Speaker, kindly direct that we get a response in a week, Mr. Speaker, kindly.
You want to speak on the same? Okay, Leader of Majority.
This Senate, Mr. Speaker, time and again, has been very firm on issues that affect common mwananchi. And I therefore want to congratulate the Senator of Nairobi for coming with this statement. Mr. Speaker, I watched with awe and shock, Mr. Speaker, the events of that event of demolition. And Mr. Speaker, it's not just in Nairobi. This has been happening in other parts of the country and has happened for a long period of time. We need to remind public officers that, Mr. Speaker, the fact that we are facing a pandemic does not mean there is a suspension of human rights. Does not mean, Mr. Speaker, there is a suspension of rule of law. And does not mean, Mr. Speaker, that persons who are holding public office are not going to be held accountable for their, Mr. Speaker, actions under their departments and their dockets. So, Mr. Speaker, so that this Senate can be taken seriously, I think even 1 week is long, Mr. Speaker. Yeah, Mr. Speaker, the committee must act immediately, Mr. Speaker, so that by tomorrow they are updating this House even online, Mr. Speaker, about the progress. And, Mr. Speaker, we want to see action being done. And the committee summoning the officers involved to appear before them tomorrow and tell the public what remedial actions they have taken. Mr. Speaker, as we speak at the moment, Senator Sakaja knows that his county has been militarized. It's no longer a civilian government. Nairobi, Mr. Speaker, is a military county. Something that I would never have imagined when we passed the Constitution of Kenya 2010. It's a shock that, Mr. Speaker, active military men who are supposed to operate in barracks and borders of Kenya are running civilian governments, Mr. Speaker. And yet this House is sitting here, ululating and clapping and cheering, Mr. Speaker. I gave a statement here when Nairobi, Mr. Speaker, was taken over. I made a statement here. Newspapers went out and said, I am so-and-so's man. Mr. Speaker, I want to remain consistent. The militarization of a civilian government in a county government, Mr. Speaker, is the worst form of violation and overturn of our Constitution. And, Mr. Speaker, I want to warn this House. You might live in Nairobi and say you may not agree with the governor, you may not agree with the leadership of Nairobi at the moment. Mr. Speaker, tomorrow when you will be governors, and a worse president is in office, all your counties will be militarized, Mr. Speaker, will be taken over by force and militarized. Mr. Speaker, it must be known by the people of Kenya that I, Kipchumba Murkomen, is totally opposed to the manner in which Nairobi is being run by, Mr. Speaker, a military men, and many more being seconded to this county. Mr. Speaker, what the hell is happening in this country? Mr. Speaker, what is going on? We must, Mr. Speaker, as I said, outside these chambers of this House, the authority of the Senate and the authority of Parliament must be restored, and truth and justice must be seen. Senator Sakaja, you may be happy with the transfer of functions to that thing called NMS, but as long as you will continue bringing questions here against the military men, their place of trial is, Mr. Speaker, in a court-martial. It's not in the court of public, Mr. Speaker, opinion. And therefore, we must fight for the core of management of Nairobi in a manner that is responsive to our constitution and a civilian rule. Mr. Speaker,
okay.
I beg to support.
I can see a lot of interest, so let us limit it to 3 minutes. Senator Mtula Kilonzo Jr., then Ledama, then I'll come this side.
Mr. Speaker, what is happening in Nairobi, particularly the evictions, is a violation of human rights. What is happening in Nairobi in the middle of a pandemic is actually an international crime. Yeah. It's an international crime because those people are staying out in the cold. Those people are mixing with people who they don't know whether they're infected. Mr. Speaker, something is wrong with this government. God needs to find something about this government. There is something wrong about the way they treat human beings. As if this government was elected by cows and goats. Mr. Speaker, and the complaints, majority of the complaints, when I sit on this side, Mr. Speaker, I wish I was in government because the majority of the complaints are from the side where they're in government. People seated on this side, I wonder, what are we supposed to do when the majority of the people issuing complaints are sitting on the majority side?
What is your point of order, Senator?
Mr. Speaker, apart from the point of order on relevance, because I'm talking about people who are homeless, every senator in this House, whether in the government side, in fact, there's no government side, majority or minority, are supposed to oversight government. So I don't know why the members in the minority are cheering when they see that even us, we are oversighting and nobody complains. This is not a house of complaints. It's a house of oversight. Whether you're in Jubilee or NASA, let's oversight government.
The members...
What is your point of order? But let's not lose focus of... okay.
Mr. Speaker, I have said over and over again, as the majority leader, this House is called Senate. It is not the government of President Uhuru Kenyatta, and it's not executive. Mr. Speaker, the Senate all over the world and Parliament all over the world, whether you are elected from the party that formed the executive or not, your responsibility is to oversight the executive. There might be cases where all of us, there will be no minority. In many, let me tell you, Mr. Speaker, in many counties, including mine, there is no minority side. Do you want to tell me that then there will be no oversight of the county governments in Elgeyo Marakwet County because everybody was elected in Jubilee? Please give us a break. We are Parliament. Everybody here has a responsibility to come and defend, Mr. Speaker, the rights of the people because our responsibility is Parliament, it's not executive.
Proceed, Senator Mutula.
You know, the statements I'm making are bitter, but I have to make them for them to understand that, Mr. Speaker, that there is a reason why we are a minority and there's a reason why there's majority. Mr. Speaker, that said, there's no difference between what happened in Elgeyo Marakwet where people were abandoned after the mudslide. There's no difference about what happened in Solai when people died. There is no difference about what's happening in Nairobi. All of it is the same line. A government that does not value human beings. It doesn't give. I've provided power to them is power. Power is sweet. It's sweeter when it's concentrated. Power corrupts. Power has corrupted. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, I agree with Senator Murkomen on the point that we cannot wait for a week. Children are hungry. It's possible that nobody is going to offer any of these landless people accommodation. It's sad. Why could somebody wait for another day to do this? And therefore, Mr. Speaker, the answer must come immediately. There's nothing that prevents the Senate committee from getting PPEs tomorrow, masks, and go to Kariobangi. If we are serious about these things, we must be seen where these things are happening. Let's go and find out where the people who have been evicted, together with Senator Sakaja, where did they sleep yesterday? Where are they sleeping today? Where are they getting food? Where are the children going for their most simple, basic human dignity? To the sanitation or toilet. But lastly, Mr. Speaker.
Order, Senator Ledama, relax. Yes, proceed.
Recently, I mentioned the book of Revelations, and Senator Ochilo Oyako told us about where this book was written. When finally judgment is written about this government, I'm telling you, only the book of Revelations is going to tell you there will be gnashing of teeth. There will be a bottomless pit for members of this government. Thank you.
Senator Ledama.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I am ashamed to be in this house during this period. We are completely failing. Human beings are being terrorized, stigmatized. Mr. Speaker, sir, even during the holy month of Ramadan, I'm not a Muslim, but I sympathize with the people who are evicted. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, this is about time that we say no to the executive. I'm completely against the militarization of this county called Nairobi. What is happening is against the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, sir, Article 187 of the Constitution is very clear. It is very clear on the issue of transfer of functions. And I'm so glad that even today we suspended the debate on Kara. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, whatever is driving this move of demolition of houses, which I can only sum as commodity interest versus community interest, must come to an end. Mr. Speaker, sir, this Senate must come out very clear and tell the executive that what you're doing is evil. It is completely unabominable. These people who live in Nairobi during this period of corona, when some of us, Mr. Speaker, sir, on a daily basis, when you look at our phones, it is empty. Because the amount of money you load and you send it to the village. What about now the people who live here? Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to request that the committee, and not only the committee, the entire Senate, and must actually come out.
Order, Senator Malala, observe the social distancing, please. Okay.
Mr. Speaker, sir, they must call this government. And whatever interest, whatever drive is moving these people to abuse the human rights of these individuals who live in this county must come to an end. Mr. Speaker, sir, what I would request each and every senator, tomorrow, let us go there, let us stand with those Kenyans. They need us now. All these commodity interests will mean nothing during this coronavirus period. Let us respect the human beings.
Senator Abshiro. I'll come back. I've noted.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I don't want to belabor this, but the gross violation of rights of the people, the most vulnerable in our society at a time, cannot be gainsaid. But one of the things that I have observed is the fact that there's no consequence to violations of rights in this country. I think even if we go, we might be seen to have reacted to it, but for as long as those people go without accounting for the things they've done, the duty bearer for this is the government, the duty bearer for this is the executive, but no, be it Solai, be it other gross violations, we've not seen consequences. So how different is this going to be even if we all go there? So for me, what I think is this, Senator Sakaja, and congratulations for bringing it, we have a thematic area under social justice and human rights, even in the COVID committee. And because these people have been exposed to the COVID committee as well, perhaps we could join hands with the committee of lands where I sit and make sure that we bring the people to book and hold government accountable. Mr. Speaker, the issue is that there's never a consequence. When is this House going to achieve a situation where gross violations of our constitution and the rights of our people actually get a consequence for the perpetrators of this. We're looking like we just want to go there, but let's see what action would ensure that people pay for these violations. Thank you,
Senator
Mr. Speaker.
Mwaura.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, since people started wearing masks, and I think they are speaking from both ends of the mouth because some sound must come from somewhere. Because, I mean, who is speaking here, really? You know, who is speaking here? Because by the end of the day, we are living in very interesting times. The moment COVID came, and there is no official opposition, then you are hearing what Mao Zedong calls contradiction in the womb of the people. The people around here are the ones who are complaining. So I think we must also legislate, maybe in the future, that you should always have an official opposition, so that government must not speak, you know, against itself. Mr. Speaker.
What's your point of order, Senator Orengo?
You know, Mr.
Order.
On a point of order, Mr. Speaker, the senator for Senator Mwaura cannot get away with this. He's living in an age which is gone. The official opposition existed at the time when we had a parliamentary system. We now have a presidential system where the Senate as a chamber is a distinct organ of government. So the minority and the majority are supposed to put the government of the day in check. The executive is not in this house. So, Mr. Speaker, you know, in fact, Senator Mwaura once used to belong, when we had a parliamentary system, used to associate with the official opposition. But when we came to the presidential system, he, for very good reasons, left the party that he used to support, and I agreed with him because there was no longer an official opposition, there was only a minority and a majority and no executive in the chamber. So is he right to say there's no official opposition when I know he has been serving that role quite well? When the issues with Kiambu came here, he took a stand. He took a very strong stand, and he was being cheered out in the streets there. I saw Senator Mwaura for the first time being carried shoulder high, and he seemed to enjoy it. I've never seen him dance, but I saw him dance in front of Parliament. And continue doing that because you are part of the organ for oversight and putting the executive to book.
Senator Mwaura, proceed.
Thank you very much. You know, my senior and elder, Senator James Orengo, who I have admired since my childhood, has actually elucidated very well the role that we are supposed to play as a parliament. But you see, if you look at Socrates, when he was criticizing, Plato, in terms of in his Republic, he talks about the rule of law that is, executed by the elite as just the justice of a band of robbers. And that is what we are seeing here in Kariobangi. Because if the rule of law requires that you should execute property and secure them and the contracts, whose property is this that is being secured during a global pandemic, Mr. Speaker? Where is the security of the person that you fear not to be killed when you are walking in the streets of Nairobi? But, the other day we had Governor Sonko saying he didn't know what he signed. I think I saw Senator Sakaja there also. So I'm also surprised. In fact, Mr. Speaker, when you are directing where this statement should go, it should not go to COVID-19 because it's go back to Sakaja, Senator Sakaja. Because by the end of the day, we must also know what we are supposed to. You made your bed, sleep on it.
What's your point of order, Senator Sakaja?
Mr. Speaker, it seems as if a certain spirit, I'm not sure if it's holy, has descended upon Senator Mwaura. But Mr. Speaker, for the record of the House, which is this place where he says he saw me? I have not attended any signing of any transfer, unless he thinks I look like someone. But Mr. Speaker, in fact, one member currently in the House is better placed to say who was in that function. But Mr. Speaker, I was not there. My sentiments on the transfer we made in this house, and I still stand by those sentiments. But we're talking about the people of Nairobi. Mr. Speaker, may I substantiate or withdraw that allegation?
I think let us make progress. Senator Professor Ongeri.
Mr. Speaker, the reason I'm saying that is because for the record of this House, if what he's saying, which is not factually true, stays on the record, 10, 20, 30 years from now, somebody will assume that what he has said, which is manifestly wrong, is actually what happened, which is not true, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, Senator Mwaura, you want to clarify whether you are sure of what you are saying or withdraw?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, I am very sure that Senator Sakaja supports the best interests of Nairobi County. And I stand with him in ensuring that we as a House, that we stand with the people of Kariobangi and we must defend them. To the extent that maybe a caricature of himself may have appeared to have been in the signing ceremony, I stand guided.
It is a very straightforward question. Are you sure that you saw him or you're not sure, so that you withdraw and we make progress? It's as simple as that.
Mr. Speaker, you were present in the signing ceremony, so I stand guided by who was actually present that time.
As far as I know, he was not there, if that is what you want me to say. So
I stand guided, Mr. Speaker.
Withdraw.
Mr. Speaker, I have not asked him to be guided.
Yeah,
you either
withdraw
withdraw or substantiate. You don't just, this is not real market.
Yeah.
You come and say matters of fact, statements
Senator
of fact.
Mwaura, can you either substantiate or withdraw?
Mr. Speaker, may Senator Sakaja not lose his cool. He's known to be a sober debater. And to the extent that, Mr. Speaker, you have confirmed he was not there, I withdraw and support him in Kariobangi South and tell him to remain sober.
Senator Professor Ongeri, proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm actually very amazed. Senator Sakaja has brought a humanitarian crisis in this House. And we have taken the liberty to hijack a very innocent debate and bring in very erroneous issues at this stage. There is a humanitarian crisis in this country. For instance, Mr. Speaker, in my own county, Kisii, yesterday there was a complete landslide and it destroyed many people, many homes and property in Bomachoge, Borabu. You know it, you are an administrator there. And people are already out there. And this morning, we were dealing on how to feed those people on that crisis. So when Senator Sakaja brought this issue of Kariobangi South, I empathize with the kind of people who are out there. And from my perspective as a professional, it's going through my mind that these people are out in the cold, these people are exposed to malaria, these people are exposed to COVID-19 because of a social distance they may not be observing. These people are going hungry. These people have no decent water or latrines to go to. So the public health aspect of it is out of hand. And I think this House should be serious enough, Mr. Speaker, to address a crisis. I also am aware, and I saw people in Nyando River that has passed the banks. I saw in Budalangi, people who are in that kind of circumstance. And recently in Elgeyo Marakwet, and in the coast. Mr. Speaker, my take on this subject, rather than bring our political sentiments, which are allowed in this House because it's a house of debate, but I would rather we confine our remarks at this stage now on human beings out there in Caribbean South who are suffering, who have nobody to talk for them, and request that the government of the day must take a humanitarian angle and be able to make their presence felt rather than the eviction element. They should now look at this human being, the children there, the people who are from very poor communities who are suffering, how they are going to get their daily meal, how they are going to get the blanket to cover themselves, and deal with the other land issues in a different forum. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Matsayo, then Senator Malala.
Asante Bwana Spika. Bwana Spika, kwanza nataka nimshukuru ndugu yangu Sakaja kwa kuleta hii hoja hapa. Lakini cha muhimu zaidi ni kwamba ukitokea shida kama ile niliyoona katika sehemu fulani ya Nairobi ambayo wameitaja, ni jambo la kusikitisha Bwana Spika kuona kwamba shida kama hiyo ikitokea ni watoto wadogo, watoto wachanga, akina mama ndio huwa na vijana huwa wanahangaika sana, na hapo hutokea hasara kubwa. Niliona kama ni kitendo cha unyama ambacho hakijatendeka katika taifa hili, kuona mama akitupwa kando na mtoto anatupwa kando bila kujali ndani ya hiyo nyumba kuna nini ama kuna nini, mali kuvunjwa na kutupwa, hata masufuria yale ambayo pengine wangeweza kupikia baada ya hiyo ghafla imetokea pia nao pia kutupwa. Sasa sijui kama hawa Wakenya wenzetu ambao hata kama wameketi kwenye nchi ama kwenye ardhi ambao si yao, kuweza kufurushwa kwa namna hiyo kama ambaye si wa Kenya ama si watu wa hapa, wanalindwa na sheria zetu za Kenya. Bwana Spika, kuna wakati inatakana tuweke sura ya ubinadamu katika utendakazi, haswa upande wa polisi, ama ikiwa kuna amri ya kwamba nendeni mkavunje mahali fulani, inatakikana tuweke sura ya ubinadamu, kuona kwamba hata ikiwa hiyo itafanyikana, watoto, akina mama na vijana wadogo ambao wanakwenda skuli, vitabu vya watoto viko ndani, na hali kadhalika ya maisha ambayo wanajimudu isiharibiwe hata wakitolewa kwenye haya makao. Bwana Spika, nataka kusema kwamba hili tokeo kama hili, nafikiria Sakaja angekuwa aliona nikisema wakati ule Waswahili wakisema ya kwamba ukiona cha mwenzako chanyolewa chako tia maji. Nilikuwa katika hili bunge na yeye akiwa hapa, na nikasema kwamba maeneo ya Mtwapa watu wanavunjiwa nyumba, watu wanateswa sana, wanatupwa nje, mali zinatokotwa pande hii na pande hii kwa sababu ya mtu mmoja anasema yeye ni bonyenye, hiyo ardhi ni yake. Lakini baadaye mnakuja kujua kwamba hiyo title deed ako nao pia ni fake. Wale watu waliofurushwa saa hiyo watafanywa namna gani? Na huyo mtu alikuwa na order, anasema hapo na order ya kotini. Kwa hiyo tunasema ya kwamba ubinadamu saa nyingine ni kitu muhimu sana, na serikali ni lazima iangalie. Tunataka kuona ya kwamba pia saa hizi ni wakati mbaya, sio wakati wa kuchukua hatua kama hii. Wakati wa hii COVID-19 si ugonjwa wa kucheka. Saa hizi ni ugonjwa ambao ulimwengu mzima kila mtu anauogopa, na ni jambo la kuzingatia sana sisi kama Wakenya. Sio kuweza kudharau Wakenya wenzetu kwa sababu wameketi mahali na kuweza kuwatoa kwa sababu tuko na uwezo wa kuwatoa. Lazima mambo kama haya serikali ikome kwa wakati huu, iangalie mambo ya ugonjwa kwanza. Bwana Spika, la mwisho ni upande wa watu kama hii hatua iliyochukuliwa na serikali. Wale watu saa hizi wanahitaji madawa. Wale watu saa hizi wanahitaji chakula. Wale watu wanaishi hapa Nairobi na ni wa Kenya. Wale watu wanakuwa wagonjwa, wako nje, wanalala barabarani, wanalala kwenye misitu, wanalala kwenye maeneo ambayo hayafai hata binadamu yote kulala ama mnyama kulala. Kwa hiyo Bwana Spika, mimi langu tu ni kwamba serikali vile ilichukua mkondo huu wa kufukuza hawa watu hapa Nairobi, na mkondo huo umechukuliwa maeneo ya kama Kilifi, utaona ya kwamba wakati huu hata Malindi juzi wametoa Malindi mzima, wapiga watu kila mahali, wamenunua mijeledi ya kuchapa watu. Sijui ni sheria gani katika hii serikali inaweka kwamba askari sasa anaweza tumia mjeledi kuchapa Mkenya mwingine. Bwana Spika, naona ya kwamba heshima ni lazima iweko. Kwa hiyo Mkenya ana haki ya kuishi hapa na ana haki ya kuheshimiwa. Asante sana Bwana Spika.
Senator Malala, then Dulo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I stand to support my distinguished cousin, Senator Sakaja.
I thought you were cautioned about relatives and ranking them, whether they are distinguished or not distinguished.
I stand guided. Thank you, Mr.
And I've also noted that most of you are just, they're not even your relatives. So you are, be careful. Okay, proceed.
Thank you. I stand to support the Senator for Nairobi for bringing out this matter. I watched this matter both in the broadcast and print media, Mr. Speaker, and I was perturbed. I was perturbed because, Mr. Speaker, the intent might be right, but the timing is wrong. Mr. Speaker, we are all alive of the fact that we are fighting with the COVID-19 pandemic, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, these families are left in a catch-22 situation, whereby both yes and no are wrong for them. Because, Mr. Speaker, they have been kicked out of their houses. They do not have a shelter. Yet, at 7 p.m. today, they expected to be in their houses because of the curfew, Mr. Speaker. Absolutely. Where will these families go when the curfew hour reaches, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker, Nairobi is under lockdown. Most of these people come from the rural parts of Kakamega, Bungoma, Busia, Siaya. If they have been evicted from their households, Mr. Speaker, where will they go? Yet they cannot even travel back to their rural homes, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we exist in a dispensation whereby even the government itself disregards the rule of law. The Chief Justice recently issued a circular stating clearly that he has suspended execution of any court order. I don't know why the same government defies the orders or the direction given by another arm of the government, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we have very many vulnerable cases in Kenya, but we have officers, government officers, who do not have a sense of humanity, Mr. Speaker. We have seen people suffering, Mr. Speaker, in other constituencies like Matungu, Mumias West, because of the floods, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, at the same time, we've seen government officials spending 4 million shillings for tea, Mr. Speaker. I think this government has got misplaced priorities. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, I want to, in as much as we are condemning the government, on this particular case, I want to commend them on the issue of the Ruai land, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, they did the correct thing, but they did not handle the matter conclusively. Repossessing the Ruai land is not an issue. We want to know who the grabber was.
Are you asking another question, or because
No,
you're digressing now?
No, we're not. It's a matter related to evictions. Yes,
No.
I think I'm free to comment on it.
And your time is up.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. I'm finalizing. On the Ruai issue, Mr. Speaker, we want the land grabber to be known, brought to book. He must be charged in a court of law. Repossessing a land from a ghost will not help this country because the same grabber will continue grabbing other parcels of land. So we will want that if we have repossession of government property,
wind up.
we must be given details as to who was the perpetrator or the thief of the said parcel of land. Thank you.
Senator Fatuma Dulo, then Senator Mogeni.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I wish to support this statement. Mr. Speaker, I think we, as a country, we have really done so badly in terms of eviction is concerned. And I do sympathize with the Committee of Lands in this House, despite the fact that the chair is really very active and vibrant on so many lands issues that are brought to this House. Mr. Speaker, I don't know whether we don't have legislations or regulations in terms of how evictions are concerned, because it looks like people are actually violating on the rights of individuals. They are violating legislations. People are evicted left, right, and center. And evictions are done actually in favor of the rich against the poor, which is very, very wrong. Mr. Speaker, a very good example is my county. I know the Committee of Lands has a matter before it concerning Isiolo County, which has not been actually resolved up to now. And even currently, you will find people coming with title deeds. There are arsonists that are coming up actually burning lands or burning individuals' houses in a place called Kambiagarba in Isiolo County, so that people can vacate those lands and they take over. Mr. Speaker, I think as a country we must review how eviction is carried out in this country. Number two, we are really exposing these people to a lot of danger. Right now, they're in the cold, they don't have anywhere to go, COVID is there, they don't have food, they don't have jobs. This is really a very serious matter. Number three, Mr. Speaker, we have an organization called Kenya National Commission on Human Rights that needs to look at such matters. And it's high time, and I'm appealing to Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, if they are actually listening to us, Senate, tomorrow you must be on the ground to investigate what happened and make sure that these people are actually settled once and for all. As far as Senate is concerned, Mr. Speaker, I think Committee of Lands should be sitting from tomorrow to investigate this matter and make sure that Kenyans are safe as far as this eviction is concerned. I thank you.
Senator Mogeni, then Senator Kamar.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, first I want to also join hands with Senator Sakaja and congratulate him for bringing this issue to the attention of the House. And as a leader, I also want to say pole to the people of Kariobangi for these very inhuman acts that have been vested among them. Mr. Speaker, we are living in very extraordinary times, and I think anybody in government should exercise a lot of caution when passing any decision, Mr. Speaker. Our courts of law, Mr. Speaker, have stopped any form of enforcement of any court order. You cannot walk to any house now, Mr. Speaker, and purport to enforce any judgment from court of law, because the judiciary has taken cognizance of the fact that we are now facing a pandemic. And the Holy Book says, Mr. Speaker, that do unto your neighbor what you love to be done unto you, Mr. Speaker. Before you take action, put yourself in the shoes of that person. Mr. Speaker, as we all know, our schools are closed. The people who are being evicted are staying with their children. And then we are facing a pandemic, Mr. Speaker. Where do we want these people to go? They are also human beings, Mr. Speaker. This world was created for the haves and for the have-nots, Mr. Speaker. The rich and the poor deserve a decent living in any society that respects human rights, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, these are the times, Mr. Speaker, that we need the emergency response team to make a decree and pass a resolution that from now going forward, Mr. Speaker, we should not see any form of evictions. And this is happening all over the country, Mr. Speaker. Just last week, Mr. Speaker, there were some evictions taking place in Nyamira, in a town called Keroka, Mr. Speaker. I think, to be fair to the people we represent, Mr. Speaker, at this time when we have this pandemic, we need to extend sympathy, understanding, love to everybody, including people in slums, Mr. Speaker.
Before Senator Kamar, Senator Orengo, then I'll come to you.
Okay. Mr. Speaker, I think the Senator for Nairobi, Senator Sakaja, is bringing out a very important issue on international law. Under our Constitution, the provisions are very clear that we are required to comply with the international statutes and conventions. It is part of the primary and basic law of the land. the provisions that talk about the supremacy of the Constitution in the same article which talks about international law. Now, the international law has provided guidelines on forced evictions. If you have to evict somebody forcefully, the guidelines are there, because those forced evictions, they have also consequences. They have got social consequences, family consequences in terms of disruption of families. The Constitution also talks about the right to adequate housing. So these international standards require that before you evict a family from a dwelling, you must first of all deal with the question, where is that family going before you evict? Those are what the guidelines are saying. But in an urban area like Nairobi, evicting 5,000 people from an area is causing an absolute problem to the city as a whole. And the problem, Mr. Speaker, if I may just conclude, in a lot of cities in the world, it is possible to provide housing, affordable housing, because land is ordinarily available. But you have a city like Nairobi where every inch has got an owner of somebody whom you never know until the day you're being evicted. So I think, Senator Sakaja, we are with you in this, and I hope that we can have a meeting with these families and be seen to be doing something about it, instead of just talking about it in the Senate. I know that when the doctors were in trouble, we didn't just talk about it. My friend Senator Mutula Kilonzo, we went to court and dealt with that problem, and today people are realizing how important doctors are. Come 2020, people are going to find how important these 5,000 people are. 2022. Yeah, not this year, 2022. We are going to look for those 5,000 people. But right now, Jubilee, watch out. There's a dysfunction in Jubilee, because how can this thing happen? Absolutely. Senator Sakaja should be able to walk in somebody's office and say, no, you are doing the wrong thing for this government and for the President of the Republic of Kenya. Stop it. But they cannot be able to stop it because of the dysfunction in Jubilee government.
Senator Kamar.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I really do not know whether Senator Orengo is right to accuse the Jubilee House without substantiating it either. But, Mr. Speaker, I would like to support this statement from Senator Sakaja and thank him for bringing this to the House.
You are not on record. Just put on your mic. What's your point of order?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I just want to ask, we talk about houses. There is a Houses of Parliament, there is a Senate, there is a National Assembly. I hear Professor Kamal talking about Jubilee House. Is she referring to the Jubilee Party, which has never met for a long time, or Jubilee House in Pangani?
Senator Kamar, proceed. I think let us focus.
Mr. Speaker, yes.
Yeah.
I would rather we focus, because I said I did not know about what Senator Orengo was referring to. So I don't want him to substantiate, because he will take my minute. Because Mr. Speaker, I want to thank Senator Sakaja for bringing this to the House, because when I saw it, I watched it myself, I was in horror, because I've never seen a thing like that happening at a time when we are saying there's a pandemic and that we should be avoiding, we should be having this thing called self-distancing, that we should be washing hands. When you evict people on a rainy day and you are telling them to wash their hands, are you telling them to wash it with the rains, or what are we trying to do? Mr. Speaker, I think we have a problem. It is true that we have a problem with our law enforcers. Our law enforcers are taking the law in their own hands. Our law enforcers are trying to do things the way they wish. In fact, as I was watching what was going on in Kariobangi, I was being reminded strongly about what went on in my own county. Between my county and the county of the Leader of Majority, there was the chiefs from my county went to chase people who were brewing in the next county. I don't know whether they forgot the boundary, chased a woman into a river, and she died. Earlier on, a few weeks earlier, we also had an incident where a woman who is disabled was brewing, and busa was poured on her. And you ask yourself, even the law enforcer at that point, how do you chase a crippled woman? How do you expect them to save themselves? Somebody who could not even wash herself. Mr. Speaker, I think the biggest problem that we are really having is that our law enforcers are not really following the law. Our law enforcers are the ones who are breaking the human rights of these people. And we really need to look at it. As I was listening to the details from Senator Sakaja, I was telling myself, will the Committee of Lands be the only committee that will deal
What's the
with
point of
issue?
order, Senator Yako?
Mr. Speaker, with utmost respect to Professor Kamar, and I hold her in true respect, is Senator Kamar in order to pile blame on law enforcement officers when they are merely acting on orders of a rogue government? Is she in order?
Senator Kamar.
Mr. Speaker, even the law enforcers themselves must be dealt with when they break the law. So we cannot say that the law enforcer is implementing something that they have been told because they are sworn. These are sworn officers, Mr. Speaker. Chiefs are sworn officers, police are sworn officers, and they must take care of the people according to the law of the country. We are a law-abiding nation. We believe in the rule of law, and whoever breaks the law, whether you are the president or whoever, you must be dealt with. So we cannot say that a law enforcer should actually break the law and undermine the rights, the constitutional rights of the residents. This is exactly what happened in Kariobangi, Mr. Speaker. And as I look at what the committee that has been given finally, Mr. Speaker, I think it will only be fair that this committee starts its work now, but not work, it should work with another committee. The Committee of Health, we need to know the opinion of the Minister of Health on what happened, because we should have had the Minister of Health condemning this activity. The reason he needed to condemn is because everything that he has been talking about at 3 o'clock was violated in Kariobangi. So we need the Committee of Health to come in so that they actually interrogate the two ministers, the Minister of Lands on eviction and the Minister of Health on the situation on the ground. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Susan, then Faki, then because we have two more statements.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I also support this statement by Senator Sakaja on what's going on in Nairobi and specifically the evictions at Kariobangi. Speaker, it's actually really horrifying when we see these sorts of things happening, and especially when they are carried out by the government. It's really concerning because, one, we know it's during, you can laugh all you want, Senator, and today I think you seem to be very hyped. I'm not quite sure what's going on, but at the same time, it's important to realize that we must still be able to oversight whether we are in the majority party or not. So it goes without saying, and that's why sometimes when we stand here and rise and oppose some policies, for example, and I probably detour here, when you hear that 7 military officers have joined the NMS, I mean, that is really, really concerning. And then when you go ahead and find a government that is evicting 5,000 people during a time of a pandemic and in a county or a city that has so many numbers of infected COVID-19 people, then you really wonder who is making decisions. Are they really using any common sense, or is common sense no longer common anymore? But I'll have to agree with Senator, I believe, Abshiro, who stated that a big part of the problem is that the level of impunity in this country, so that anybody can do anything and just tomorrow get away with it. We keep crying with my friend here, my friend Senator Mutula, about Solai. We've pushed so much, we've done so, we keep trying, but nothing seems to give because of the level of impunity. In my county the other day, we have some millers, they're actually called Mombasa millers, where they had leased some railway land and have a lease for another 8 years to go, where the county government can just come in and burn everything down and repossess the land despite having a legitimate lease. So it sort of seems that across the country, the level of impunity is just insane. And because nobody is ever personally held liable, then I think that that is why they'll do whatever they need to do. I'm also, just from a little research here, it seems that there was even a court order about for these 5,000 people whose houses were demolished. So when the government is evicting in contempt of a court order, then really there is a problem. But this keeps happening. We've seen the contempt of court orders time and again, nothing happens. We talk here, we keep moving on, and nothing really happens. And that is why they keep doing this, evicting families with children at a time of a pandemic, at a time when it's so cold outside that even in your own house, you're cold when you're inside the house. And I can only imagine what it must be like for these families outside. But also we have the Ministry of Health's guidelines at this time where people are supposed to stay home. So when it's the same government destroying homes and people are thrown out, then it just begs the question as to what really is going on. And I also agree with the other senator who said that maybe we should go out there. Sometimes I think it helps, as much as we may not see the benefit or a resolution immediately. I think it helps to show that even though COVID is around, we have not suspended oversight. And thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Okay.
Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa ashabi ajma'in, amma ba'd. Ayuha nas, usikum wa nafsi bitaqwallah, faqad faza mtakuna fawzan adhima. Tupo Islam, baada ya kumshukuru Mwenyezi Mungu na kumsalia kipenzi cha umma, mimi ni wenu yule ambaye kwamba nafahamika kama Ustadhi Yahya Hassan. Ima tukiwa ni kuendelea toka pale ambapo tulikuwa ni kukomea katika kipindi chetu kilichotangulia, tuliuliza swali pale tuliposema ya kuwa kaifa nasumu, vipi tunafaa kuwa tuatakiwa tuwa wenye kufunga. Kala sahabiyul jalil Jabir bin Abdullah radhiyallahu anhu, sahaba ambaye kwamba aitwa Jabir radhiyallahu anhu asema ya kuwa idha sumta falyasum sam'aka, bila shaka pindi unapofunga make sure ya kuwa masikio yako bila shaka yafunge, bimaana usiyasikilizishe mambo ambayo kwamba ni mabaya. Kisha wabaswaraka, na macho yako pia usije ukaangalisha mambo ambayo kwamba ni mabaya. Walisanuka anil kadhib, na bila shaka ulimi wako uwe wenye kufunga, bila shaka usije wenye kuongea uongo. Wal maathim, bila shaka na mabaya yote kama kuwatukana watu na hivi. Wada adhal jani, na bila shaka kawa nenye kusema ya kuwa acha kuudhi jirani, wanas jamia, na watu wote. Wali yakun alayka wi'aran wa sakina, na kuwe na utulivu na upole yaumu saumuka, siku ambapo kwamba wewe umefunga. Wala taj'al yaum fitruka wa yaum saumuka sawa, na usijalie ile siku ambapo kwamba umefunga na siku zinginezo bila shaka ziwe zenye kufanana. Kala sallallahu alaihi wasallam, tunasema fa idha kana yaum sawm ahadikum, na bila shaka mmoja wenu akiwa amefunga, fala yarfath wala yasgha, bila shaka asiongee ama stende mambo mabaya. Fa insabahu ahadun au qatalahu, ikiwa atatukanwa na yoyote ama mmoja akataka kupigana na yeye, fali yakul inni sawm, bila shaka yeye amjibu kwa kusema mimi nimefunga. Bila shaka hii hadithi inapatikana katika Sahih Bukhari na Muslim. Wa min fawaid shahr Ramadan, na miongoni mwa faida ambazo kwamba zapatikana katika mwezi wa Ramadhan, jaa alhadith alladhi rawahu al-Bukhari wa Muslim, kuja hadithi ambayo kwamba yapatikana katika Sahih Bukhari na Muslim, an Abi Hurairah radhiyallahu anhu an Nabii sallallahu alaihi wasallam qala, kutoka hadith sahaba ambaye kwamba aitwa Abi Hurairah asema kuwa mtume amesema kuwa idha jaa Ramadhan, pindi Ramadhani inapoingia, futhat abwabul janna, milango za pepo zote hufunguliwa, wa ghulikat abwabun nar, na milango za moto zote wanafungwa, wasufida tushayatin, na wale mashaitani mabaya wote wanakuwa wenye kufungwa katika minyororo. Wa fil hadithi alladhi rawahu al-Imam al-Bukhari wa Muslim kadhalika an Abi Hurairah radhiyallahu anhu an nabii sallallahu alaihi wasallam qala, hadithi ambayo imepokelewa katika Sahih Bukhari na Muslim pia vile vile kutoka sahaba kwamba aitwa Abi Hurairah asema, man sama ramadhana imanan wa ihtisaban ghufira lahu ma taqaddama min dhanbihi, yote mwenye kufunga mwezi wa Ramadhani imana, akiwa na imani wa ihtisaban, akawa yatarajia malipo kutoka kwa Allah, ghufira lahu ma taqaddama min dhanbihi, anakuwa mwenye kusamehewa madhambi yake yaliyotangulia. Wa min fawaidiha aidan inaha sihatun lilbadan, miongoni mwa faida za somo tukufu Islam bila shaka ni siha, wa bila shaka kwa nini ama ni siha kwa mwili wa mwanadamu. Kala Sayyid walad Adam alayhi salam, tumasema kuwa sumu taswihu, fungeni